Well, it must watch on Intercut, the weekly show going through all the movies, TV, and entertainment that people just can't cut away from. I'm your co-host Arturo Zurita, and joining me for another 365, it's Zachary Shevich.
Every day, all day, movies. What's going on, my guy? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, man. A new year of movies, fresh popcorn, fresh snow. I can't go to my 35mm screenings, but we will survive as we join here on the Weekend Must Watch on Intercut, a brand new season of movies. We're talking about all the stuff for the Golden Globes still, so we're still talking about last year, but we got new movies that are coming out to theaters, movies that people have been anticipating, waiting, that are finally getting the theatrical release. We even got some oldies. Zach said he's been going back on the catalog. He said, forget 2025. My man's in the 70s, 80s, 90s?
It's all over the place, man. I'm spanning like a century here with the movies I watched in the last few days.
We've got everything from theaters to streaming to TV. We got it all here on the Weekend Must Watch on Intercut. And overall, I'm hoping that all of y'all listeners, your inner cuties, your families, y'all had a great holiday season, a good beginning of the year, and you're all prepped for another 365 movies. A movie a day, they say, keeps the doctor away because you're not going to him.
Exactly, man. We are movie sickos here, and I guess the only cure for that is more stuff to watch, more things to add to the watch list.
Yes,
yeah. Hopefully people also enjoyed all of our year-end content, our best movies of the year list, which is also always a popular video. Our guys, our best TV. We got that most anticipated movies of 2025 to help y'all add more things to your watch list. Any feelings now that we've had a little break since we last talked about the best movies of the year? I know you had some feelings about not getting to see Nosferatu before we recorded.
Evil. Terrible on your part, Zach. Why have enemies when your loved ones themselves will not tell you to watch one of the best movies of the year? Unbelievable. That shot, and I know you know what shot I'm talking about, sir, was... Someone showed an image of it online, and I was like, okay, I don't know if I need to see that. In motion, arrest them all. And arrest the Globes for not nominating it for cinematography and anyone. This is this literal witchcraft that happens on that screen. We will be talking about Nosferatu. And if the year ended and you didn't watch Nosferatu, make sure you watch Nosferatu. It is one that needed to be on the list. Boy, next time we wait in the day, I'm putting that bad boy on my list. You know what? If I would have caught it, double the views. I'm telling you, double the views. The Nosferatu fans would have seen
the Hive is out there.
3. It was good. Shame on you, Zach. I can't believe it.
Look, it's not my fault that Focus Features.
I'm auditioning new co-hosts who are willing to wait till I see Robert Eggers' movies. We're not doing this for his Western. That's a fact.
Yeah, please, I really hope that one doesn't get a Christmas Day release. We'll figure that one out. We had some people who reacted to us not having like a ton of foreign language films on our best movies of the year list, but we talked about it a little bit when we were just recording our hidden gems. Like, the foreign films often end up in this weird limbo where some of them are getting like really tiny theatrical releases at the end of the year, and they're not necessarily all widely seen. Like, most of the time when we're including something, it's because we got lucky enough to see it at a film festival. But I feel like a lot of the best foreign films of the year are the ones we're going to be talking about for the first like 3-4 months of this year.
It's also I don't know if you've come across this. They give you a pick that ain't top 10, bro. What did they say?
Right, like I had seen The Secret Fig in my top 20, right? I don't know.
Secret Fig,
and also like we've talked about Perfect Days and Taste of Things as some of the best movies of last year, right? Yeah. Like sometimes it just doesn't line up. Not every year has a Parasite.
Yeah, that's just what it is. But I'd also argue you ain't got some of the 10 best films if you're complaining about our 10 list. But most of them do get mentioned. I see many of the times some people will say that and then they don't have a pick. They just want to complain. Some people do, and they're shouting out really good movies that we already do have mentioned. But they are long videos many times. So people really do look at what is in the top 10. And I stand with all my top 10. We did our 2014 video not too long ago. Come on, bro. That's a flex. 10 years ago, still consistent. I don't make my videos and my picks based off of what should be in the top 10. I am looking at us recording a 2035, 34 video, knowing that I will stand by all my picks 10 years from now. But Secret of a Sacred Fig is one worthy of fighting for. But I know we mentioned that as an honorable. And our hidden gems is going to be full of a lot of them. So many of them. Because it's also a matter, like you said, with Taste of Things being another one. They get overlapped many times. A lot of times they're yelling at us for a movie they missed, and I agree with you, bro. But I'm not the production company. Every time we talk about a movie, they yell at us because it's not on Netflix. I was like, I wish we could.
Yeah, it's not our choice.
Yeah, because if it was my choice, I would have included this movie that is definitely top 10 of the year, Nosferatu, the newest remake of a copywritten thing. Everyone's getting free roam now that the copyrights are leaving Popeye and
public domain.
Steamboat Willie. Nosferatu been public domain because it's stolen from Dracula. There's a whole backstory you can catch up on there, which I think is very fascinating. But I love how Robert Eggers comes in and makes it his own. It is so rare to see a movie that is clearly something a cynic can say is IP and is a retread, another adaptation, another remake. And I ain't never seen anything like this. And that's when you have a real filmmaker at the helm. It's Dracula, really, for those who have never seen Nosferatu. Maybe those who have not seen Dracula. It's a very similar story in where you have a guy who is a realtor and his wife. They end up encountering this evil deity who lives out in the middle of nowhere. This one called Count Orlok, played by somebody. Some person under thousands of pounds of makeup and who knows what.
Yeah, did you recognize him? Because I certainly didn't. I only realized who it was by process of elimination.
When he's in the shadows covered in makeup, I don't think you even get a chance to figure out who it is. Your process by elimination is the only thing you have here. Shot impeccably, just eerie, creepy. They probably put effects on that voice, but have you been talking like him?
Proprietor is one of the things that Caitlin and I say to each other.
Have you poured the eggs today? Like, all those rolling R's.
Who is cooking dinner tonight?
Yeah, my best cookie monster sometimes comes out. He demolished that role. Nicholas Hoult, I was on a Nicholas Hoult binge this weekend because of The Order, other films that he's been on the radar with, and Lily Rose Depp. We'll start with her right off the bat. Lily Rose Depp gives a performance in this where I stand by what I said about her in The Idol. She was incredible in that film, and now she's doing like a call to arms, calling out all the Idol haters, saying, no, I think we were unfairly judged on that thing, but for her, she was consistent in that, and she is a powerhouse in this movie. She took her daddy's talents.
I'm not about to like take back the things I said about The Idol, but she was never my problem with that show because she's good. She's a hell of an actress, and this is a really incredible physical performance here. You know, the just abilities that she has to kind of like contort her face and really make herself seem possessed. Like, you know, I've seen some people are commenting about how there are people who are laughing at those reactions, and I just couldn't imagine looking at movies through that lens because it's such a full-bodied performance. It's so full.
Yeah. I get why people laugh, even though I thought it's a weird one because we've had those discussions, right? Are you going to get upset with someone singing at a musical? Can you get upset at someone acting childish at a theater if they paid the money? I don't know the answer to that one. We both hope that they engage with it.
That's the thing, right? Like, I think it just means you're kind of approaching this movie in a cynical way. And I don't know if you're going to really appreciate how strong of a film it is if you are looking at it cynically, because it is such a creepy gothic tale. Like, I found this to be one of the most unsettling movies I'd seen in quite some time. Like, to me, this movie gives you the feeling of when you're like an hour from your home and you have the thought, did I leave the oven on? And you just left to worry, like, something's wrong, I can't fix it, but something's terribly wrong. I think it's a really special thing for somebody to pull that off. And, you know, Robert Eggers, I think he's just become one of our top tier filmmakers in terms of his ability to give you this fully realized vision of something that doesn't just feel like he's been assigned to make a Dracula film, but almost like he's uncovered an old story. Like this, I always feel like his films feel like they're born from the time period that he's trying to set them in. Like, the characters exist with a moral view of the world that reflects the world he's trying to make. They don't feel like modern characters placed into an old story. And this, maybe more so than all of his films, really feels like just something ripped from a time long forgotten in a weird way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember when he had said something similar to that effect for The Witch, to Vivitch. He was like, I want people to find it feminist by accident. I don't want them to watch the movie and know that it's that from the jump. This needs to feel of that time. And this definitely feels like, you know, the way that they speak and the way that it looks. There's this whole behind the scenes with the camera and the way that it moves, where it is tricky. It is a feast to watch this movie, especially when you do or don't know what to look out for, because it is a story about an impending doom, like you're saying, and this plague that's coming. And I love how he adapts what the original is in making him also part of this monster sickness that's coming through. But the way the camera moves, there will be moments where there's a difference between it being robotic and it being handheld. And it's during these moments where the characters either have control or don't have control of what they have. And I'm like, just sit back and watch this movie multiple times to see how he's setting up these scenes, because it's truly a master at work here.
Yeah.
I agree with you. This is not a movie to go out with the boys, maybe, if all the boys aren't in the same cinephile class as you are. Because even in that sense, we were talking earlier with her performance, it is a movie where there is a longing. There is a sexual tension at play. And the things that people are laughing at with what's her name? Lily?
Yeah.
It is her doing a noise that is supposed to reach an uncomfortable point.
Right.
So you get put into this realm of like, you have to go past that uncomfortable ability in order to be able to discomfort, in order to be able to really engage with the movie. And I think that's something he really does, because there's even been discussions on Count Orlok. Can you see him as sympathetic? And people are like, no. And other people are like, well, and I'm like, you know what? I think one of you guys may be crazy, but I'm still willing to hear it out. Fascinating movie in all aspects. There was a Venezuelan family. They're Latino, but I just know they were Venezuelan. They came in. I was like, there's no way you guys are going to sit for this. They came out talking about it. I'm talking grandma, dad, kid. They came out talking about the blonde one, played by what's her name?
Emma Corrin.
Emma Corrin is in the movie. They came out, they're like, in Spanish, they were like, that blonde one? Yeah, SOL from the beginning. No, they were so engaged. And I was like, no way. This is a movie that I think already did better at the box office than they were expecting it to. It's a film that abysmally is being ignored so far by award circuits.
I don't get it.
But it doesn't really matter, because The Witch, y'all love The Lighthouse a lot. I think now the previous Northman is underrated, undervalued, and I think the DVD sales showcase that. If you remember, it flopped and then did bank on VOD.
Yep.
Nosferatu. Unbiasedly, I think his best film. Unbiasedly his best film.
I would agree. I think this is the best film that Eggers has made. It seems to me the most fully realized. It's such a complete vision, such a haunting tale, and just so masterfully done. You talked about the camera work. Shout out Yaron Blaschke, who's been his cinematographer since the start. Just does an incredible job here. You mentioned the box office. It already passed 100 million at the global box office, which is quite surprising for a Robert Eggers movie. But the dude is like such a master of genre, and genre movies are popular. I want to throw out a comparison that I heard a couple days ago, and I thought was so strangely spot on. But he's kind of like the horror Wes Anderson, because his productions are so immaculately designed. The details of the world are so fully realized, and the characters often don't like communicate super emotionally, but they are like very in like emotionally vulnerable places. They're not like perfect parallels of each other, but there's a lot of similarity there.
No, I can see that comparison for sure. I was gonna say, I was like, his characters emote a little bit more, but I see that because we're talking about auteurs, right? That's the comparison right there. It's someone who truly cares about every element of the screen, and considering that this feels like it was shot on location and it's all on set. What are we doing here? Like,
yeah, that's nuts.
No, yeah, 10 out of 10s for everyone involved in the production. I want to go back to Nicholas Hoult, because we were discussing this idea of what type of humor does he have in his films, right? I think there's a couple of stuff he does with Nicholas Hoult where they're talking about like, I hope he's okay. They jump back, and this man is having it rough when he goes to visit Count Orlok in the beginning.
Yeah.
And I
Is
think that
he
there's
is
slightly
he
humor in the movie.
yeah, is he cinema's greatest cuck right now? Like this is a dude who just loves to get emasculated on film and
And
seem
TV.
like
I'm thinking
and
the great.
TV. And he's so good at it.
Damn, bro. For the X-Men who got picked as Beast, yeah, it's pretty bad. They damn near turned my man into a second Renfield already in this one, the way he becomes a lackey. And I mess with him heavy. Like, I love how he commits. Yeah, you're right. Even Mad Max. Menu, texture, mouthfeel, whatever he was saying. He plays it well. And you know what? Ain't no one like him. He is honestly underrated with
Very
what he's able
underrated.
to provide with this. Really good performance in The Order as well. But I think he takes the cake here. Nosferatu, I think, is a standout for him this year. I'm excited he's going to have Superman in the likes next year. But as long as he keeps taking roles like this, which is going to continue, we're not even mentioning Jury Number 2 yet. No, I'm always happy to see what he co-signs there. But I thought his scenes were funny. That's what I wanted to bring up, is that I know we have media literacy, but we also have, people hanging out in different groups where you may find some things funny that other people don't.
Right.
That's where you get to this bit of like, how do you go out and enjoy movies differently than different people in a setting where everyone is there? But there are some moments where him and Count Orlok, bro,
Right.
Count Orlok makes him sign something and he doesn't tell him. He's like, "Oh yes, just sign over here." I'm like, bro,
yeah, I mean, look, his face of like pure horror is funny. I think there's a big difference between laughing at Nicholas Holt's reactions and laughing at Lily Rose Depp, enacting a possession.
Sure.
But like, yeah, like I think there are like really fun bits of humor and knowingness to this film as well. I don't know, it's just a really complete story to me. We talked briefly about Bill Skarsgård, but it is such an incredible performance. I don't know if you heard that he like trained with an opera coach to lower his voice by an octave.
Wow. Right. Wow.
Yeah.
No, it's good.
And he apparently might have done permanent damage to his voice, but it sounds dope.
It's better than it.
Yeah. I mean, he, talking about people who've become like cornered a market, he's kind of like the actor to turn to for horror films, whether it's portraying your monster or just subverting expectations because of the baggage he carries.
I mean, don't forget, I know how much you loved The Crow last year, baby. You were like, yeah, give me some more. Joker Crow. He's made up for it. I appreciate that. I like when an actor goes, all right, my bad that one didn't work out. Okay, how about I give you Nosferatu? He killed it in here. Completely goes into that role. You don't even know it's him. That's the sign of a good actor. I'm gonna shout out Aaron Taylor Johnson as well. My man's hot stuff, but he really played this stoic character well, and he has some of the most borderline they went there scenes.
He in a lot of ways I feel like is the closest thing we get to an audience surrogate, because he's the one who feels he's acting the most like what the hell is going on, like just in genuinely baffled and doesn't want to like entertain this ridiculous notion. I've seen people mixed on his performance. I think he's like does everything required for him in the role. Yeah, I think he's very good here.
I've heard a split in terms of whether you can consider him good or bad. And I think he's a fascinating character, because some people are like, I wish I had someone like him. And they're like, no, he was the problem. No, I think he's a character who may make mistakes, but he's like, nah, this stuff is weird. I'm looking out for my family.
Yeah, exactly.
Does that type of thinking sometimes do the inverse because you're so selfish? Yeah. But he embodied that role well. No. They're wrong for that. He don't really give bad performances. You guys are crazy on that one. And I know. And no one's saying anything bad about Willem Dafoe. My man comes in at an 11. He comes in midway through the movie as if he was already filming for 3 weeks over there.
Dropping lines about Isaac Newton's mother's womb or whatever. Like he is always on one. I love that, all our genre filmmakers know that you can't quite pull it off without Willem Dafoe. He's just like what gotta be there to give you the ambiance, to give you the atmosphere.
And even with Eggers, Lighthouse, obviously lead. Now, Northman, he comes in for a little bit, a kind of a similar role too, as a person they go to for help. And I thought he's fantastic here. Like, that's his guy. If they could time travel, add him to The Witch, bro. Like, I love their interviews together. You really see the creativeness. He really almost takes Eggers under his wing. Like, you are going to have a spot for me, no matter what you do. He was excellent in his part here. They really use, just like we said, Emma Corrin, Having Ralph back,
Ralph
especially
Ineson,
from The Witch. The bass. I like this man just coming out so we could test the bass in the theater.
Yeah, along with like Patrick Warburton, probably one of the best top 5 voices in Hollywood, you know?
No, but Warburton's got that subwoofer voice. Anyone else? I'm blanking on the name of the guy who ends up playing like the one, it could be him, the one who ends up kind of losing it in the original. He's like his minion who
I
would
think
be
it is
the
Simon McBurney who you were looking at just there.
Yeah, just good stuff all around. Shout out to production design. Shout out all of it. I got to catch it in Dolby. Like I said, I've been eyeing that 35 millimeter before we start getting hit with snowstorms and stuff at the music box. I would want to recommend it on film, but for sure, because of how dark it is, that Dolby screening was everything I needed it to be, from the rumble to the visuals. Dude, those shots.
That's the thing. Like, I'm glad you pointed.
And the windows in the back.
Right.
But you could still see a little of his face. I don't know if you go to a showing that isn't Dolby and you get to see that.
Yeah, and that fair enough. Like, I think that is something that the film does really well. There's so many films out there where the darkness is really muddied and it's hard to distinguish one thing from another. I was really in awe of how much of this film was dark but still legible. Like, it didn't ever quite feel like maybe there were some things that were hidden, but it always felt like it was intentionally hidden. I never felt like they were trying to show me a thing and I couldn't see it.
Like the projection messed up?
Right, exactly. So maybe that is part of the Dolby experience, and I'd be curious to hear from people who maybe saw it in a theater that's not so great if they had a similar experience to me. I'm inclined to believe part of that is just how well it's shot, that they just know what they're doing with light and shadow.
That's a good point. I'm gonna double up because I listened to way too many interviews. He said that they learned that lesson from The Witch, where they're like, no, it needs to look like this. Then they saw it in theaters and they're like, damn. And they learned that what you film to what you're gonna broadcast. What's the biggest story of them all? Episode what of Game of Thrones? We learned that lesson.
Yeah.
The Long Night.
The Long Night, I think, right?
Night,
it was the big battle episode in the last season, but who can even remember Game of Thrones now?
Yeah, completely different here, where you don't have a cinematographer saying, get a better TV. He bettered himself instead, and he realized, okay, there's going to be a certain way to distribute this. So while I've only seen it in Dolby, you are correct. Let me give him full 5s all around. Yeah, right. I don't know. Whatever I see it next, I'm inclined to say, they got even better with it. Because I think of like the long leg scene where you see the doll, and people are really scared. They're like, yo, if you look at it, you start seeing the eyes. Those are some of the best scenes, and I just want to make sure people see it in a proper theater. And Dolby gave me everything I wanted. Really good shots in there.
This is absolutely a movie that needs to be experienced in the best way possible. Especially if you don't feel like you got a good system at home or whatever. Like, make sure you see this on a big screen in a good theater.
Yeah, and if you don't like Gothic tales, just know it's you. I may not have liked this maybe 20 years ago. I'm just saying this is slow. I get that. Yeah. I've seen some people want to say it may not be their cup of tea. For sure, that's fair. This is one of the most well-made movies for what it was going for, 100%. I think even above that. Best picture quality for sure. I don't see how they don't put this in there.
Yeah, I was at one point when it kind of felt like there was no real front runner in the Oscars, and there was maybe like a opening in the field. I had this in my predictions. I mean, this was before I saw it and before the year became a little bit clearer. But like, having seen it now and seeing what are the front runners, I don't see any reason why this shouldn't be like dominating some of the below the line categories, at least in terms of nominations. Really incredible film. But I do have to ask you, if you had seen this before putting together your top 10, do you know where it'd be?
Screw you. Yeah, it's somewhere top 10. Puro would have been that hidden gem for y'all at that point.
High up.
For the past week, since we have had the two off, Nosferatu and Brutalist especially. We got to have another convo on that one with everyone who's been discussing things. It's an interesting thing after the movies come out where you have people discussing things, and sometimes you wonder, how much of that is from the movie? Wait, everyone's having the same convo? How much is just people copying each other's combos?
Right.
Both Nosferatu and The Brutalist, and letting them simmer and still not having a rewatch on both they're two movies that I think are definitely going to grow. Brutalist, especially in the convo of people saying, no, it's about this. No, it's about this. No, it's still a movie about a creator whose creation keeps getting taken away from him so that people can put their own meanings on it. And it's like stuff like that sometimes makes it a living, breathing thing, which is what you and I love about movies. And I don't know what the placement is, but I know for a fact you can't go without saying that these two are two of the most monumental movies of the year. as they say. And Nosferatu especially is one to catch in theaters. Yeah, they'd both be up there. I had Brutalist as an honorable. Nosferatu, I think, would have cracked. I think both. I'm doing a top 20, top 10 next year.
Yeah, we'll see how big that top 10 gets next year.
Great year.
Hey, yeah,
Great
a really
year.
solid year. Hey, before we get to another movie that maybe could have been in the running for your best of the year, certainly was in the running for mine. Let's maybe give a quick shout out to the Intercutie patrons, those wonderful people who help support the show, and their names are on the screen right now. So another thanks to all of them. And the Academy tier, they are Tushar, Cademan, Connor, May, Ricky, Joe, Wiley, Matt, Jeremy, and Michael, I guess. And then the producer level patrons are Toon, Brandon G, Josh, Bleepy, and I gotta add our guy Nick Rudeau in who's in the live stream right now, who upped his membership from the Intercutie Plus tier to that producer level. Huge thanks to Nick and to all of y'all for continuing to support the show. A reminder that you too can support the show by clicking that join button below us if you're watching us on YouTube to become a member, or heading over to patreon.com/intercutpod, where you can sign up for as little as $3 a month and get all sorts of patron benefits, like early access to Intercut episodes, like the Hidden Gems of 2024 video we just filmed before this live stream. You can get access, you can help us decide future episodes of the show, and you'll get an invitation to our monthly Intercutie video chat, the next one of which is happening next week before we head out to Sundance. So not too late to get in on that over on patreon.com/intercut or Intercut Pod, or right here on YouTube with the membership page.
That's great. Good stuff. Hey, you never let me know. What were those oldies you were checking out?
Oh, right. Yeah. I went through a journey through film histories past to start my 2025 off. I saw a bunch of movies that sort of have just been in my watch list forever. I've been trying to conquer more of the Sight and Sound top 100 films. And I think that the top ranking film from Africa, which is, a continent that I don't nearly watch enough films from, is a movie called Tuki Buki. I don't know if that one's on your radar at all, but this one's it's streaming on Max as part of the Criterion Collection. And it is, I believe, a Senegalese film that is about, it's sort of like a post-colonialism Bonnie and Clyde of sorts, about this couple that's trying to emigrate to Paris or France to go travel in Paris, and just kind of their experiences navigating the country and limitations of their lifestyle. I will throw out a huge content warning there. There is a lot of animal slaughter in this movie. It is very difficult to watch, but it is sort of making a point about.
And you saw this on the plane?
No, this is one that I watched in the privacy of my own home. But I did. Oh, Tuki Buki is TOUKI BOUKI. Gotcha. I did wake up Caitlin in a very horrifying way while watching this one, though.
Wait, this looks familiar. I've never seen it. I've seen that poster. Okay, so solid.
Yeah, I mean, it was in, I think, the top 20 of Sight and Sound's best films of all time. So a classic in its own right, one that I hadn't seen.
As in like Dio?
Who are we talking about?
Diop? It's a middle name, not a last name, but.
Oh, yeah. You're thinking like Mati Diop?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if there's an actual connection there.
Looks cool, actually.
It's a very cool movie. Yeah. So provided you can tolerate the animal slaughter, like a very cool, very interesting film, I would recommend that one. I caught up with the John Ford, John Wayne classic Stagecoach, all the way from 1939. You know what partially inspired this is there's a tweet going around that the oldest film available on Netflix right now is The Sting from 1973. So I wanted to go out there, and it's a great one, a classic, but kind of crazy that there's like a full 50, 60 plus years of film history that is just completely unavailable on the largest streamer in the world.
Did they make enough movies past 73 though?
I don't think they did. I think it was just John Ford, right?
Yeah, there was like 5 or 2 of them, but no, that is a big thing, right? Because then to people, you don't even realize that some people have that mantra. We know of several really good critics too, really good speakers. They dismiss a lot of older movies. I don't get why. Bet you may be doing that and not even realize it just because you don't have access to it. I think that's a big reason why we do the show, is knowing that, hey, you come for this, cool, let's sneak this one in here so you know it. So 1939, Stagecoach.
Exactly, right?
Hey, does it hold up?
I think it really does, you know, in particularly the back half of it. Like, the characterization's really fun. They have a really interesting ensemble here, and just the way that John Ford shoots things, you know, I think like the action scenes are more legible than you get in a majority of action scenes nowadays. He's just one of our great filmmakers. And I think, you know, while you can definitely feel a film like this, which is going almost approaching 100 years old, it's still, there's still like enough artistic ingenuity here. You also see in a lot of ways like the blueprints of future films through this one. I found this one to be really delightful.
They got to re-release it when Horizon Part 2 comes out.
Yeah, right. So I saw Stagecoach. I saw the 39 Steps, another classic Alfred Hitchcock film that I think I had only watched clips of, but I finally watched the whole thing. It's a sort of spy story, that thriller that Hitchcock is great for.
Had you seen the other ones?
Which other ones?
The other 38?
I'm still caught up on like only the first couple, but I just decided to jump ahead to 39. You know,
I heard it goes up, from there.
Yeah.
What's this one about?
All that. So it's like a spy on the run. When he, I'm trying to think of ways to do it without spoiling it, because even the plot description on Letterboxd spoils it.
Really?
But
okay.
Yeah, it's one of those classic MacGuffin movies where they're constantly searching for a thing, but it's sort of the search that is the point of the movie.
Gotcha.
Very Hitchcockian, very fun.
Solid. Yeah, because you and I were also finding out that something else was a Hitchcock movie, Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Yeah, I hadn't realized that.
Yeah. So by the way, let me get you the Mr. and Mrs. Smith review. You told me to start a specific episode, which is what we always we've been doing for some shows. We were like, hey, Sugar, really good, stop at 6. And now we're like, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, start at 6.
So how was your Mr.
episode of the damn year?
Isn't it amazing? It's the back half of that series is really incredible.
And just to make sure, because we're doing a weird watch of it, everything they talk about in that therapy scene is from the first 5.
Yeah.
So I recapped the first 5 and got everything I needed, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, that episode is really good, and they should have just started from there. And the follow-up episode has Michaela in it, and that's another banger episode. Yeah, no, really good stuff. And then the ending,
a killer ending, and it kind of like ends in the place that we all remember from the Mr. and Mrs. Smith with Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt.
Yeah, but that episode 6 is way too good. They get into pockets of a conversation that I'm like, this is past a movie anyway. This is not even an action thing. This is, that was really good. Really good call there. 39 Steps, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. What else did you hit up?
I got 2 other movies that I want to shout out, and they're both from the Polish director Andrzej Zulawski, who's been on my radar for a long time. Shout out to one of our inner cuties out there, Connor, who is always pitching his films for sure. Possession, one of the all-time classic horror films.
Wait, First Watch?
First Watch.
Do you know who's remaking this?
Do I want to know?
Tell me your thoughts, and I'll tell you after.
Well, I mean, I thought it was pretty incredible. I love it. The tone that it strikes throughout is so bizarre and unsettling. He is able to like instill this mood through the way that the characters kind of have these like really bizarre, unhinged kind of performances. It's a little bit like comical, but mostly like weird in a way that makes you uncomfortable. There's so much like screaming in this movie as well, but like I think it just does a really great job of instilling that doom, that unease, that not knowing quality, and then also you just have these like really fantastic performances that captivate in it. I mean, it's really incredible. I need to revisit it already, because it's got just some of the most incredible sequences in a horror film.
The tunnel scene, coming home with the groceries.
Of course, yeah.
They just copied that in Omen last year. The first
First
Omen has
Omen,
that one
yeah.
scene, yeah, and I was like, oh, okay, they're homaging the greats here. Yeah, I think this is an incredible movie. Again, I would say it's in that realm where it's it's funny by accident. And that's what I'm saying. Lily Depp's. I'm not defending the dude bros out there,
No,
but
no,
I
no.
get. You get what I
I
mean?
get it. I get it. I also don't know. Like, I think some of it is like a little intentional. Like, I don't think it's trying for comedy, but I do think
Right?
it
But
is trying for
yeah,
like confusing you, throwing you off.
absurdity.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing, but yeah,
No.
people will perceive things in different ways. This is getting remade, bro. Live reaction right here.
Parker Finn. Interesting. Interesting. I mean, like, I
He got it
respect the
already.
hell out of the Smile movies.
He got it already. Let me know.
Yeah.
Yay or nay?
I mean,
Robert
I don't
Pattinson,
know.
producer. I'm seeing here.
Like it's not the worst thing I've heard, but I'm probably an A just as
Damn, you wanted it more solidified, huh?
yeah, I don't know.
I think he's got it.
I think he's solid, but it's just one of those things where it's like I don't know what you need to remake about it.
He called it a movie that's having a spiritual conversation with the first by today's
Interesting.
standards.
Interesting.
So great pick. We'll keep an eye on for
Yeah.
Possession in the
So
midst of Smile 3.
right. So I caught that one partially because I had tickets to a screening of one of Zulawski's other famous films on the Silver Globe at a cinema in New York called Metrograph that highly recommend.
Oh,
Does a
I
lot
know
of
the
really
behind the scenes of this. That's right. You didn't tell me this.
yeah.
Help me find words. The second one right here?
Yeah, the
I
second
got
one
some
right
as well.
there. And
Wait
this is
a
a
minute.
really
Wait 10
fascinating
minutes?
movie.
Hey, those images look familiar.
Yeah,
Tell
I
us.
mean, I think it's pretty. It's iconic in its own way. Obviously, it is the second most watched film of his films on Letterboxd, at least. But it's garnered a really interesting reputation, partially because it is this like sort of sci-fi epic that he tried to get made in 1977 and then was unable to make. The film board stopped funding his film.
Oh.
And then he returned to it a decade later in order to finish it. But the way he finished it was to just take sort of like random on the street footage and narrate what was supposed to happen on top of it. So it has a very sort of disorienting effect. The story is told to you in starts and stops. It is like loosely the story of a group of astronauts who travel to a planet that is very much like Earth and then start a new civilization there, and it takes place over multiple generations. It sort of ends up being in some ways about things that are innate to human nature, like tribalism and war and myth making, but it's also just like a mostly incomprehensible movie where characters are constantly declaring things and in metaphors, and it is so
For 3 hours?
nearly 3 hours. It is, I was with it for about like an hour and a half, and then I felt myself drift a little, and I never quite got back into it. But I will say the thing is, it is just an absolutely stunningly produced film. Some of the images they put together are incredible. There's this whole sequence where they're kind of on the beach running around, and the whole beach and landscape is like exploding in front of them. It's done in first person. It's really, really thrilling, exhilarating stuff. Some of the set design and costuming is like really evocative and beautiful. Particularly the first half is shot in this mostly first person style that almost reminded me of like a predecessor to Nickel Boys in some ways. I was just like completely captivated on this film on a visual level, so where even if I wasn't understanding large stretches of the story, I found it interesting.
Okay.
It is compelling. It's not the easiest watch out there.
Okay.
It is a long sit, but especially if you found the style of Possession to be pretty interesting, I think you'd find some things to enjoy about On the Silver Globe as well.
There you go. 1988, not anywhere online. Gonna have to move to New York. Where'd you catch it?
Metrograph. I think that there are some
Yeah,
repertory cinemas playing it, and if you look in the letterbox comments, there are links to watching it.
It's online. It's online. I might have to check that. I might have to do some deep dives with that. I saw that they had posted, speaking of older films, even when you do get them on streaming services. I don't know where I have my copy of it, but Kubrick's Barry Lyndon, a movie that I haven't seen yet, but I bought the Criterion. I've had the Criterion with me. I want to put that bad boy in, capture in its glory, because it turns out that may be the only way to catch it. The YouTube version, while it was out for everybody to see, is like missing scenes, color, and soundtracks. Worst thing that can happen is watching a movie for the first time and it gets tainted for you. It's like visiting a restaurant that was having an off day, and now, I don't know. I feel like it's ruined. So, best case scenario is being able to catch movies like this one that Zach's talking about in its proper format.
Yeah,
the movies that we're watching right now, from Nosferatu to The Brutalist, in a way you may not be able to see later on when it's streaming. So, always good to shout out the oldies, the classics.
Absolutely, yeah. And no better time than the present, right? To look back on them. I one of my New Year's resolutions, we haven't quite gotten to Letterboxd year in review time, but I want my percentage of older films watched versus newer films to be a lot closer to 50-50 than it was this year. I think I watched 25% older films. There's so many great ones. I gotta take the time to go back and catch them all.
25 is not a bad number at all.
25 is not that bad. It's up from the year before that, but I think I can bump those numbers up.
That's good. I think my trick is always, whenever we have all those new movies come out, I remember, Action one.
Mm-hmm. Monkey Man?
Ryan Gosling.
Oh, Fall Guy. Yeah, because you ended up catching The Stuntman, which is one of my favorites.
Stuff like that. To me, it's every new movie should be an excuse for you to see old movies, not ignore old movies.
Exactly. Oh. And speaking of that, another film that I had caught, but I wasn't even going to bring up until you mentioned it. Caitlin never seen Naked Gun, and that movie is getting a remake this year that we shouted out on the Top 100.
I think Paramount, all of them came out. So yes. I was reminded that the third one's called Naked Gun 33 and a third.
Classic stuff. Hilarious stuff.
Yeah. And in an interview, Pam Anderson's going to be in it. I know that. She's like, yeah, it's us and Liam Neeson is as funny as the old ones were. That's a go. Did she like them?
Yeah, it's hysterical. How could you not? There's a joke a minute, and each one's
Airplane too, bro. Put Airplane on our radar.
Yeah.
I miss Leslie Nielsen. No, what's his name? He when he was the president in Scary Movie 3.
Oh,
oh man, one of the best to do it. One of the
greatest.
All right, let's move on to what is supposed to be a biopic on one of the greatest. The last movie that we have here for the weekend must watch, a film that has been getting a lot of love from the Jenners. Complete Unknown is the newest film starring Timothée Chalamet, directed by James Mangold, who I think is a solid director. Even if he may be giving you like a really good one, kind of iffy, but then he goes back to like a really good one. He's made classics. He got, if I'm not mistaken, the first Oscar for Angelina Jolie in Girl Interrupted. Can't remember if I'm wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure.
I think her first and only.
Yeah.
Could be wrong.
No, she's not getting it from Maria. Logan, a classic. Ford v Ferrari is solid. But the big thing is that I love Walk the Line, and I was not expecting, not necessarily another biopic from the man, but another biopic that's
stars Johnny Cash.
Another Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
And I like
this Johnny Cash is just
Cash,
as good as the last one. Yeah.
Yo, I was seeing him pop up, and I'm like, you can give me a whole movie of that. I'll take it. No problem. Where is he? I don't know. He's not popping up. Boyd Holbrook. Way too low on this list. He came in with that chin, the voice, and I was like, all right, let's do this. The movie ain't about him though, even though there's a certain point where Bobby just does whatever he tells him to. But A Complete Unknown is a Timothée Chalamet vehicle where he is going from different points across the country as he becomes this folk singer, going as far as even getting on the folk records, singing at folk festivals, wanting to just be himself until he realizes he may need to conform to what the rules of folk music are. I want to say that's really what the premise of this movie is. In the background, the world may be exploding and he's got lovers, but it's, can Bobby be himself?
Right. My take on it was sort of how this moment in the 1960s, where America was in the midst of all this like cultural and social upheaval, ended up sort of making Bob Dylan until the point when he kind of transcended that moment, until he became too big for that moment. Right. Because this is a film that also features, like elements of the Cuban Missile Crisis and Martin Luther King's March on Washington. So it is very much aware and making the social climate part of the story of Bob Dylan here. But in a lot of ways, it's about how Bob Dylan kind of turned his back on that moment.
I've seen people say that all of those instances were ways for him to be like, oh, I could write a song about this and take advantage of it. And it's been interesting to see, reviews for the movie, but reviews of the man, because that is what it's doing yet again. It's this idea of who was Bob Dylan? Was he the activist that people wanted him to be? Was he this complete unknown? In the film, some people are judging it off of whether he should be this idol or not. I'm sure you saw the Boots Riley thread that was going on Twitter where, he acknowledges the man and his gifts, but at the same time was like, you kind of did turn your back on the machine, or you turned your back and went with the machine, I should say, that he pretty much became the poster child. And if you know Boots Riley, I mean, he kind of made a movie where he showed you that organizations are willing to have the protest be under them, be manned by them. And he had some good breakdowns if you wanted to go see that. In terms of the movie itself, I think he gives an interesting performance. It's not bad. The real good performances come from Elle Fanning, in my opinion. I think she does a solid job. Not written the best because they go, how about you just cry as his girl right there? And I thought they could have done better with her writing. Monica, probably the most solidified performance here in what she's supposed to serve in terms of his creative partner, more than the lover that's on the side. They even write songs about that. One of her best songs, as we were going back on Apple, is about that. And her relationship with what's his name? Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, the performance where the man didn't even say a word.
Yeah.
I thought was the heart of the movie.
Scoot Magoot.
They're all trying to get on records and stuff and who's worthy of being folk. But at the end of the day, everyone has this idol that they look back to, that they're really asking for like acknowledgement from, the okay. Like I said, there's a lot of bits where he does that for Johnny Cash, but he really is the heart of the movie in terms of being the older folk legend who is now in a hospital and can't speak, but they go to visit him. And they use him just enough. There's not even any more scenes I would add to him. He was exactly what he needed to be.
No, I mean, I think, to get an actor like Scoot McNairy into a role where he doesn't really have much, if any, dialogue, like you got to know that this is an important part. And the role that Woody Guthrie plays in sort of the journey of Bob Dylan's character, you kind of want somebody who radiates like importance, stardom or something, because like this is a significant figure. And he bookends the movie, so like it is a really important part of this. I thought it was really effective the way they used Scoot McNairy and Woody Guthrie in telling the story of Bob Dylan. He's excellent. Want to shout out my guy Edward Norton, who I thought was quite excellent in his kind of sing-songy Mr. Rogers style.
You got that down. Yeah, it wasn't very much like that. We needed more of him. This ends up becoming the movie. The old versus the new. And I wanted to see more of that because this is the dude who kind of, I want to say brings him under his wing, but does invite him over. And I thought we were going to get more of them. It's a great supporting performance from him. But obviously they spend the time to go see Bob Dylan become Bob Dylan as he comes back. And I don't know, there was moments where they're building up. I really like a lot of what he brings to the movie.
Yeah.
They made him go way the opposite of Dylan at one point, just so he could be the opposite of Dylan. And I don't know if you felt this, but there are moments where the movie's so up Bob Dylan's butt, man. There's a moment where he performs and they're like, oh my, you would have sworn the way they cheered him on that he just sang for cancer and cured it. It was a little much to me, man.
If you're talking about the times they are a changing scene, I kind of loved that one. I think
the way he performed, but they cry. This is the first time they're hearing it. Well, they thought the times changed right as he strummed.
Well, I think to me, that's a scene that really gets at the idea of Dylan as this kind of, almost of his day viral sensation. He came to the Newport Folk Festival where people were performing entirely songs that were traditionals and covers of other songs. And here's this like 23-year-old kid who's bringing completely original songs that speak to the moment. And it's just sort of like, it's this change. It's this difference. So I kind of liked that moment in the movie. I also really I think I might be a little bit more positive on Timmy in general in this film. I think
maybe
he does quite a good job of embodying the sort of mystery of the Dylan character without just playing him as an enigma. To me, he's kind of like an opportunist who sees.
Wait, we agree?
Yeah, he's like looking for his moments to insert himself into this moment, but he's actively building the myth of himself. You know, he talks about how he was like he learned how to play the guitar in the carnival, and there's that whole moment with the photo album where Fanning's like, let's not look at that. Like the whole movie's like trying to not answer questions about Bob Dylan, and I think there's something about the air that Chalamet brings to it that even if it's not necessarily like a pitch perfect Bob Dylan impression, to me it got the spirit of Dylan in this moment.
Is it bad to say that it's like it's a good performance because he's showing how try hard the dude was?
Yeah, I think that's totally accurate.
Right? Again, I don't think that's a bad thing. For me, it's sometimes I felt the accent would go in and out, but he's got that cool, like you're saying, where he wants to be perceived as this person. And I think that there's elements of it to like how he gets a song played. He can't be the originator. He's got to play oldies. But technically, if I give it to the girl who I'm with, and she's right,
she was on the cover of Time magazine.
Exactly. And I like how, then Elle's character is like, oh no, is she taking him? And he's like, you don't know what we got going on here. I would even go as far as that there's an element in the background, like you were saying, of an opportunist, where Elle Fanning's character gets introduced specifically because her sister works for the folk records thing. Right. And you see that guy get introduced. He goes, that guy? If he puts you in the books, you're in. And I'm like, oh, are we going to address this? They're like, no, if you can connect it, we'll connect it. We're going to jump 5 years later where him and the guy have already gone through everything. And he goes, Bobby boy, how have you been? And I'm like, fascinating. So would he have had much of an in if he didn't have the in at the folk record store? I want to see that story. And it's almost like they're telling you, you guys can connect the dots onto the next thing. Yeah. Because that's one of the other dudes that he pisses off a lot at the end. Yeah, I don't think it's a bad movie by any means. I think I'm still rating it pretty highly. I did expect a little bit more from James Mangold, who's already made the biopic. I don't expect a parody on other ones, but
I don't know if this reaches quite the level of Walk the Line, but I did like it quite a bit. I think one of the things that I really appreciated about it is the fact that this really is so jam-packed with music. I feel like the first half hour of this film, they have like more musical performances than they have scenes with dialogue, which is ultimately like what you want when you're coming to a movie about one of the greatest songwriters of all time, right? So I really appreciated that. I appreciated how good the performances themselves were. It's been reported on before, but this movie was supposed to happen around the breakout of the pandemic, so it got delayed several years, and in the interim Chalamet learned how to play guitar. So now you can sit in a wide shot with him and Monica Barbaro, and they're really singing and they're really playing guitar, and they're putting fucking Rami Malek and Marissa Abella to shame. Because when you can really do this stuff, there's something magical about it. And to see really talented people performing really beautiful songs, I think that's worth the price of admission, at least.
That's fair. Great point. A Complete Unknown out in theaters. Let us know your thoughts down below, and whether Timothy is your favorite of the year, because if he wins, I think that's the record breaker.
Yeah,
even younger than Brody.
It'd be really interesting because Adrian Brody, when he won the Oscar, let me go onto IMDb and
what?
Yeah, 102, something like that.
It's like just the birthdays are off. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me pull this up on IMDb so I get this exactly right. So he won in 2003, so I guess the movie was 2002. Okay. Oh wait, so never mind. I might have this one a little bit wrong, but anyway, the point being, Adrian Brody was the previous youngest winner of Best Actor when he won for The Pianist, and in all likelihood, they will be nominated against each other. So it'd be an interesting passing of the torch of sorts for Timmy to take that title from him while Brody is nominated in the same category.
That would be or he takes it and he goes, know your place, man.
Yeah, exactly. Brody ends up winning it.
No, that's crazy. You can only do it once more. You see a lot of people get nominated and you see it in their faces. This is the only time I'm going to be able to carry the little ticker at the bottom that says I'm the first of whatever it is. He may take it away from him, but hey, Timmy's due his at any point. I'm okay with him not getting it for it, but I still think this was a good performance by him. I think his press run has been really good. Shout out the Nardwuar interview. Fantastic.
So good.
But yeah, check out the movie. Let us know your thoughts down below. as we get into news. We got a big one, which is obviously the Golden Globes. But before we get into that, we've got a couple of quick little things to mention. This first one being a little fix we got to do to the Sundance category. Shout out to everyone who's been checking out that video. We were even getting some retweets out there. Appreciate the love. But there is one movie that's not going to be appearing. And I think it's a good thing, Zach. Tell them about the movie that has been dropped out and whether you think it's a good thing or not. Because not the first time this happened.
Yeah, so the $6 billion man was announced as part of the Sundance lineup, but it is no longer going to be playing there. Director Eugene Jarecki said, "The truth is, significant recent and unexpected developments have emerged at the heart of the story, which, if not incorporated in the version for Sundance, would not represent a finished film. Sundance has shaped my career and been a cornerstone of my journey. Only something of this magnitude could make me withdraw." And this is one of the weird things, one of the differences we have between like narrative film and documentary. Like, you'd like to think when somebody finishes a narrative film, that's it, that's the story.
Mm-hmm.
But because you're dealing with the truth, and particularly $6 Billion Man is a film about Julian Assange, who is a figure who is very frequently in the news. You know, you're sometimes chasing real-time developments.
Yeah.
You know, so I guess I'm glad that he's not showing us what he feels like an unfinished film, right?
Agreed.
Yeah.
One, I realized I should not have accepted those cookies as recovering a Julian Assange film. Second, I also think it kind of proves, like you're saying, that it does showcase that they're taking care of the project. But I also think it's interesting how many controversial stuff Sundance puts out there. I know they're big. They even get critiques from ourselves who go to it. They have a lot of brands, a lot of studios, but they will have the balls to accidentally pick a really good film and then after the fact realize we might get in trouble for showing this. Yeah. That kind of showcases to me that it's real, that they have programmers that keep us coming back every year. There was an Islamic one a couple of years ago. We were in the Harry Potter house. And that got taken out. You were talking about some dealing with judges that have not even come out. 2017, infamously, they got hacked by Russia because of Icarus, the documentary that was calling them out. So I think it's a very interesting story. Hopefully we get it in the future, but $6 billion man. It's also an action movie. I don't know if it's $1 Million Man, but they got Wahlberg attached to it. So maybe it's a rights issue. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
But yeah, that is the movie that is coming out. Go straight to the Globes or anything else you want to talk about?
It's your call whether or not we hit the other news item. We could go straight to the Globes.
Film piracy, Zach. Yeah, your name. All the talk on film Twitter this week.
Yeah, so I think this really emerged because a relatively popular account on Twitter posted a link to download the new Kiyoshi Kurosawa film Cloud, which was one of your favorites on the festival circuit last year. Yeah. The film currently has distribution in its native country of Japan, but it does not have distribution throughout the world, notably here in the US where we are. And it sort of sparked
the only place that exists, Zach.
Right. And it sparked a dialogue about like whether or not film piracy in this situation is okay, because it's a movie that is in a bit of a limbo by not having a distributor. But it is a film that has gotten a lot of hype and people are very excited to see. I don't know if you have a strong stance on the idea of this movie getting leaked before it gets used to US distribution.
A lot of movies get leaked all the time that don't have film distribution. A lot of people are watching pirated cam movies. Trying to stop what audiences are doing is always a fascinating feat that I see people online do as they struggle for likes and clicks. But I think the biggest one here is not so much of the movie at all, but it's the idea of you judge people the way they want to be. You know, it's the golden rule, the way they want to be treated. So I can't really judge somebody based off my stuff. That may not matter. But people online let you know what they believe in, and then you see them not follow it through. Right. Look, there are some people who don't live in America. They're never going to get the chance to see this movie. If you want them to wait, go ahead. Tell them you should wait until you never get it. VPN so you can pay for a ticket over there, whatever it is. But when most people are telling you they want universal basic income and all these different things, but y'all stop at like a movie file, piracy is bad. But some of y'all have a very warped way of looking at the world and understanding that if you can't even give a movie link out for free, how the hell do y'all expect everybody to share everything else? People aren't going to be in the same countries as you are. So for them, it's a different discussion. Yeah, Yeah, I think it's a lot of people imposing stuff on other people, but it turns out there was one person who was like stopping people, and they had a subscription, signed up for like a gatekeeping membership where they actually like torrent a lot of their movies, and they're like, I don't. How do you feel about the
Yeah.
piracy thing that it needs to be Disney and that's okay to be stolen from, but if it's a small movie, then it doesn't.
So yeah, that was an interesting point that I think was out there, and I think it does speak to something that is relevant. Is that like I think as film fans, we have to understand that there are certain elements of the way that the film world works that sort of keep the structure up, right? Like
Mhm.
films get financed because distributors will buy them in the hopes of putting them out into theaters that will exhibit them, and people will pay to see them. Like this is how the film economy works. So when you get a situation like this where a film is leaked before it can complete that cycle, you sort of disrupt how the industry has built itself, how filmmakers have for years and years and years been facilitated with the option for to make these movies. So I personally, like, I don't like to pirate films that haven't been distributed or are from like independent filmmakers, because I know that, you know, those are the pockets of the industry that really need the financial support. I
Mhm.
don't feel as bad about it with films that have already had a wide release from a Disney or a Fox or a what have you, because those films are more likely to have made their financial returns. Although I don't personally, I don't like, uh, I feel weird about piracy. It's not that I don't like it.
Yeah.
But we are in this different era where, you know, we're seeing because of the way that streaming platforms exist and how legacy titles get abandoned, that in some situations, and I want to emphasize some, not all, piracy is a form of film preservation. So I
Mhm.
think that's where some of the miscommunications come from, because like there are people that are supporting film piracy of films that are hard to see or are undistributed versus, you know, the idea of a film that just hasn't yet had its chance for distribution.
Mhm. But once it has its chance for distribution, then it's okay.
I mean, you know, depends, I guess. Personally, I wouldn't do it. You
Would
know,
box office be the end all? Or is box office not something that the capitalist studios have told us is where the money is made? But in reality, like we covered with the Northman, there really is never a time where it's not economically going to be a thing that you're taking away from them. And that's where I find it interesting, because people, they come in on what it is. Cloud, because it's a new one, not there. But can we take what's the one that inspired Longlegs from him? Cure? Has it been enough time? I'm always
yeah,
interested to see how people approach those things. I think at the end of the day, people gonna do what they're gonna do, Zach. You know this,
yeah.
but I don't know. You know, I don't think they're rolling it out properly anyway. It's not gonna make money, but people are. Sometimes I look at them and I feel like y'all just mad that you got it or you got to see it at a festival and they didn't, because you
Right.
and I are in a completely different realm. We ain't got to pirate most of the stuff because we do
Exactly.
have access, real access.
And that's the other part of the issue that I've been seeing too, is people complaining about like people who live in cities like we do, who get access to the distribution
We're
before we
too
do, or people who
privileged
go to
for that.
film festivals.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're super privileged, and that is something that we probably should acknowledge. But I also think that like I don't know if it's necessarily like a form of oppression to not get to see a movie within the first 6 months of its release, right?
For
Like
sure.
there is,
For
we
sure.
just had a segment about all the amazing films in film history that I guarantee you most of the people downloading Cloud have not seen all of, right? Like there
Yeah.
are films that are available to watch that you don't have to potentially hamstring their distribution in order to get access to.
You
I,
think the people streaming Cloud are going to ruin its box office?
well, I mean, I think there's a real world in which it doesn't get the kind of distribution deal that it could have gotten if the
Skinamarink was the opposite. That's
yeah,
why I
but I
find it
think
fascinating.
but Skinamarink to me is like one of the exceptions that proves the rule. And you can always point to movies that become sensations like that, but there's a long list of movies that we don't remember because they don't get the same treatment that Skinamarink did.
Do you feel movies ever been kerplunked because of its piracy?
I mean, I'm sure those situations exist. I can't like come up with them off the top of my head, but I'm sure those situations exist. I, the only thing that's coming to mind is some studio said saying that they didn't want to do a Kick-Ass sequel because too many people pirated Kick-Ass too.
And
But
they were wrong. That would have made they should have continued Kick-Ass, bro.
Yeah.
Wrong for that one. Cloud's a great movie. I would recommend it when you have it available for yourself to watch. It is an interesting world out there as we get to it. Because I do agree with you. I'm a person who thinks like multiple things could be right at the same time. You can consider it wrong to pirate Cloud and also go like, but if I did, it's not going to affect its box office. People want to lie that it is. It's not, but it could still be an ethical thing that you feel is wrong. I'm always wondering if it's Disney, Deadpool, Wolverine, and that leaks, is that okay? I remember when Dear Evan Hansen leaked, and that was free game for everybody, but it ruined TIFF's online portal, and they never continued it again, right? So there are varying things. I think there are worries that we're not even looking at, and there are positives that sometimes we're not even looking at. We have a comment right now from Damage Hurdle who it says, there are moments it may be uncomfortable, but when you talk about censored films that are out there. Zachary, we are on the anniversary of The Interview.
Right. Well, but that's the thing, though. Like, we can bring up these scenarios, though, but like, we also shouldn't be deluding ourselves. That's not the situation with Cloud, right? Like, this is not a hidden movie that's been censored by governments. It's just a movie that's not out yet.
It's just not out yet. Sure,
it'll get out.
But I feel like everyone if there is an okay reason to pirate a movie, I don't get why, other than it be coming out this year, that this one is off. Because I then heard, as I learned, talking about movies that are close, that the director does have another movie. It's also new. If it's everything possible, Zach, but we got the okay to pirate it. I don't know if you got the news, Zach, but it turns out that Chime, because it is an NFT film, is allowed to get pirated. So I go back to my consistency. I just want to know the golden rule for people. This one's okay?
It has NFT distribution. I guess that there's a means of getting it legally if you really want to.
But it's okay to pirate this one. Yeah. I also heard this one's like 40 minutes. So
yeah, I feel like
it's small.
Yeah, it like just barely qualifies as a feature. Just
for your bang for your buck, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's an interesting conversation. And I think the funniest part of it all, I think it even goes back to like the Nolan thing, when everyone was up in arms for what's his name not having read the what's it called, the Odyssey. I don't think in that conversation where a lot of people were discussing like, are you an idiot for not having read the Odyssey? People then said you were, what'd they say, entitled. An elitist, yeah,
American centric for having the gall to suggest people read Homer's Odyssey.
No, it is you should read that book. That is not elitist to think that people assume you should have read it. But I did think the conversation turned into elitist when everyone just wanted to dunk on the dude, and at that point it was like, you are dumber than what a set of the population would be. And I think that a lot of it is these conversations are about imposing things to people online when we won't even have an effect on them. You won't change someone's mind for piracy. You won't change someone's mind for the Odyssey thing. But we still want to make sure we say something about it, even though none of us are really changing the other person. And I wish more conversations were about actually reaching to the other people about what it is that they could see. You and I have the show because we're telling people when they can look out for the movies and what movies are worth their time. I think a lot of the times is people wanting to impose their stuff on other people, but Chime.
Yeah, I mean, no, I was just gonna say with the soups thing, I think it's just ultimately about like curiosity about the things that you're talking about, right? And that's the thing that struck me about that whole saga. It's like if you like, I think it helps to have to want to be intellectually curious enough.
He Googled
to
it.
know these things. Yeah, sure, but like,
shame on him for not knowing it prior. I don't like him either, right? But
no, it's not shame on him for not knowing it prior, but it is a little bit like, how little attention are you paying to the medium that this is your first interaction with it, right? And the medium that you've built a career off of.
Books?
Well, there's so many films that are influenced by Homer's story. Like, come on, he didn't watch Troy, right? Like, this is ancient history.
He's like 7 years old. I agree with you. He should know more books, because I agree. A lot of people don't have that curiosity.
Yeah.
But do we take it away from him when we make fun of him? Because I wonder, like, the people who made fun of me for certain things kept me from loving something. And I'm like, do I get mad at them for it? We're upset because he's got a fan base and he could be doing so much more. And many times, sadly, I know people don't want to hear this either, but it's like they're mad that he got the fan base and some people don't.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure.
And I get that. That's human nature. and he reaches his fan base in his way. And sometimes I wonder, the people yelling at him make him double down on his stupidity. Because I'm not denying it's not dumb, but I sometimes wonder, like, I don't know, clowning on him, I think, makes him more emboldened. And it also makes him go viral every week. Lights, Camera, Jackson went viral again for his picks. And I'm like, but this is why they stick around. Like, the haters keep you going the most.
Yeah, no, that is absolutely true. That especially in the internet age, that you're ultimately just giving a megaphone to the people that you are making fun of.
Their lovers don't like them as much. It's the hate that gets them going. So if you would like to hate this podcast for the segment that we just did, please tag us and send it everywhere that you need to know. Every promo is good promo, but hey, I think the conversations are interesting because there is not going to be an end all to it. And I would recommend Cloud when it comes out. I don't think it's going to make the top 5 at the end of the year for those lists. I'm more curious about why he sold Chime, considering the subject matter in Cloud. Why did he do that with his other movie? But I also got to give a shout out. Let's end it right here with that dude who did the VPN thing. I thought he was pirated. You told me no. My man went super duper legal. You know it better. Break it down.
So somebody posted, I think it was on Twitter, that they really wanted to watch All We Imagine Is Light, and they realized that the film was only available to stream through the Indian version of Disney Plus. So they tried to get a VPN to sign up for Disney Plus. That didn't work. They signed up for a virtual phone number to sign up for Disney Plus in India. That didn't work because they didn't accept virtual phone numbers. They went on Fiverr and hired somebody in India to sign up for an account on Indian Disney Plus. And then this person was able to finally watch All We Imagine Is Light. So if you want to watch Cloud, it is available on Japanese streaming.
There we go. I love it. You gave him, while everyone's arguing, you gave him the action. You took the horse to the water and you said, here it is, ladies and gentlemen. That's how we say. Sundance coming up. You get to watch it from the comfort of your own home. You ain't even got to pirate it. Look at that. Whew. Let's talk about
everybody's at a different point in their journey of film discovery and film loving. And, maybe sometimes it's not the kindest conversations that
I like
get
tough
people
love.
deeper in. Yeah, sometimes
I like tough love too.
Sometimes you can learn from tough love too. Sometimes,
but they gotta love you, tweet. And sometimes we don't love people.
Nah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So let's get into the movies that hopefully most people loved, because half of this next segment for the Golden Globes is congratulating them for getting it right. Yeah, and then remembering we're covering the Golden Globes. The Golden Globe Awards happened yesterday. They streamed them over on Paramount Plus. Good jokes on all sides when it came down to hosting and streaming jokes and all that. But you got to break down here talking about your 4 big segments for the show. But I want to know overall, yay or nay on the Golden Globes?
I think it was mostly a yay on the Golden Globes. They've garnered a reputation for being kind of the wacko award show that makes strange choices because they're susceptible to bribes, right? So this is the award show that gave us the
Otani show, right?
Getting nominated for a couple stuff, legendary like Pitt Zadora many years ago winning an award.
I won The Tourist.
Yes, yeah, the Angelina Jolie, Johnny Depp movie that nobody liked, but somehow got a couple nominations here. Like there's always been a couple weird ones. Or another one was when they gave Aaron Taylor Johnson the win for Nocturnal Animals, and then he wasn't even nominated at the Oscars. Remember that year?
Yeah,
that was a strange one.
The Martian comedy.
What was that?
The Martian?
Oh yeah, The Martian as a comedy. The classic comedy Martian.
Come on.
The Globes do have a history of doing a lot of smoothing things out to include more celebrities, get more people to show up to their award shows, stuff like that. It does not seem like that is the Globes we have now. The Globes are a lot more similar to basically film Twitter sentiments. For the most part, the things that won were online favorites. And I think a lot of that is because, as we've discussed previously on the podcast, Penske Media is now one of the owners of the Golden Globes, the company that also is one of the owners of Variety and the Hollywood Reporter.
Look at you go deep. Deadline. Okay.
So I feel like a lot of what we're seeing now is like the awards machine on websites like the Hollywood Reporter and Variety, then sending those same people to vote on these awards and give the things that were front runners the awards anyway, right?
There was an MCU thing. People complained that the new MCU character, that's not what they did in the comics. So they started putting it in the comics, waiting 10 years, and then announcing it for the MCU. I thought that was genius. So you're telling me they pretty much, a lot of the public opinion that you see online is the pre-work.
Yeah. So, and yeah, it just kind of feels like they are satisfying what people wanted to see, right? Like, oh, people are really into the substance. Oh, we'll get a Demi Moore win in there. You know, people are really excited about the Brutalist. Well, Brady Corbett's going to get Best Director.
So, you don't feel they're really honoring them?
I think a lot of it is sort of buying into public sentiment, right? Like you hear, maybe it is fixing their image a little bit because they know they want to like have a reputation of like,
we're good.
You know, yeah, we're good. We get it. We see what you're thinking and we think it too.
It's almost yes, literally that. We just like you guys, right?
Exactly.
They're trying to see if they can get the Oscar picks right.
Yes.
They're not giving out globes. They're trying to get, dude, there was a certain point as we get to these where I saw them giving speeches and I went, wait, are they giving a speech for the award they got? Or are they auditioning? Hey, Oscars,
for the Oscars,
look how good of a speech I can give you.
Exactly.
But it's your trophy. Holy smokes.
Yeah. But like, I think what it did result in was like mostly a fun show with things that we think deserve to winning. And I don't know, like, yeah, maybe it's a little bit like, I'm suspicious of you giving me exactly what I asked for, but like, it's better than fucking The Tourist winning again or some shit. Not that it won. Anyway, I don't know. I enjoyed it.
Winning.
It's cool.
Is not detracted from an Emelia Perez win. I'm curious.
I mean, that's why things aren't perfect, and we could get into that.
Right, one for Tom is like, damn it, I knew that came with a price. All right, let's go.
What did you think about just the flow of the show, though? It ended up being 2 hours, 18 minutes without commercials. To me, it felt a little bit long.
Yeah. Do you have something to pinpoint? Because I do. I got two things to pinpoint.
I got two things to pinpoint. One is the presenters.
That's my first.
Like, it's always great when they got a great bit, when their timing's right. It is almost always not the case. The writing is usually terrible. The actors aren't rehearsed. Oftentimes, it seems like the teleprompter just doesn't work. And
or they can't see it.
Yeah, and it's it ends up being the clunkiest part of the show. You know, you get Nikki Glaser comes on stage to introduce the people who are introducing the movies. And yeah, it's not tight at all.
Did you say, is Seth Rogen still going on?
Yeah, he might be.
Way too long, dude. And that's where I find the disrespectful side of it, because it's like, how many of you guys are doing this comedic bit with how much you hold? Because Nikki did a couple jokes where she would hold it. But a real comedian knows, don't get obnoxious with it. Waiting 2 seconds can feel like the 10 seconds that Seth Rogen was doing. You don't actually need to waste people's time. My second one, why is it always in this tight room? It's always in this bit where people are missing half their dress by the time they get up to the stage. They're going down I-90 trying to get up the stairs. And then out of nowhere, I'm writing my jokes down for the video. And I'm like, bro, they have GPS. Dude, it took me half the thing to realize that they were
GPS trackers for the nominees.
And I was writing down someone going, getting lost, rerouting, calculating, drive. And I saw the GPS things come out. I was like, that's God right there, bro.
So silly.
It's almost like they're aware of how ridiculous it is. We had one of the funniest, I think, speeches was Baby Reindeers when she went up there, got cut up and said, I almost showed y'all my globes.
Yeah.
Fix it, bro.
Yeah, we love Jean Smart here, big Hacks fans, but like, she's a 73-year-old woman and you're sitting here like in the back of the auditorium.
Knowing she's going to win. This has been happening since Rami won for the first season of Rami?
I was like, I don't think I need to help you with that one.
Rami, thank you. And he went up there all the way from the back. That his killer joke was, you. I promise I'm an actor. You guys think I served you before this. They've never changed it. And it's weird because it's like, okay, Rami was maybe a shot in the dark. Like you said, Hacks, she should be front row.
Yeah, I mean, like they got those tables so tight in there that like they're sidestepping their way to the stage. It's ridiculous. And also
Keep the Nobu.
They just never figure out what to do in that interim. Like they're trying to drop fun facts. Like, did you know Richard Gadd's stalker sent him 4,000 emails?
Yeah, some were interesting. Did you hate that? The fun facts? I thought when the presenters were coming up, some were completely pointless, but some were interesting.
Yeah, I thought some were interesting, and I like getting them. I just think that like there were a few that felt a little bit like, why are you telling me this now? Or like they're
Yeah.
almost
Oh,
so
see, that's what.
relevant.
Yeah. So some of them were just like basic fun facts. Sometimes the guy would show you one and say something else. Sometimes he would just read the same fun fact that was there. There were some that we found out, and it's a mixture of I'm glad we found them out. They're so terrible. I hate we found them out. Emelia Perez announcing after their win that they added the music after finding out.
Stuff one.
What? Why would you say that?
Yeah. I mean, well, they already got the awards, so.
Beflo wins and they tell you, yeah, this guy did it all. This, and this, and on Blender, which is for free. And I'm like, okay, that's a good fun fact.
Right.
He was a mixed bag with them, so I thought it was a little okay, but
yeah, look, they're trying something. I guess it's better than dead air.
Camera work was bad. Some people would say my family, and then they wouldn't show them until later. Adrian Brody had this really big one, and they could not find them.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it because prior someone mentioned someone, and these idiots put it on the wrong person. So I get that you're gonna risk show them or show the wrong person. But did you see even on the nominees, they had Kate Blanchett's head wrong when it came to her square?
Yeah, was it Hiroki Sonoda who they missed at first? So one of the
they were showing someone else,
yeah.
And even when I think it was someone really big, Glenn Close comes out and they cut to a camera on the other side in the middle of the broadcast.
Yeah, I saw that.
Y'all are up for awards too, Golden Globes, and y'all not getting the nomination for the Emmys.
Yeah.
But the rest of the awards,
the
speeches.
So I mean, what else was there?
Let's start Nikki.
Oh yeah, we should talk about Nikki Glaser, the host. I thought she was really solid. I kind of would give her overall performance like a B+. Like it's not like the top tier, but it's really solid. I wouldn't be upset to see her host again. You know, her monologue was like funny and sharp, but it didn't get full like Ricky Gervais, look at me making fun of Hollywood.
Yeah, he already did that, and he was in such a space where he knew to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you heard about her. She said she called him up or texted him, said, "Yo, can you give me any feedback?" He jumped on immediately, said, "Just do yourself. The roasting, all that. You just got to be you because you're not them."
Mm-hmm.
And that's all he comforted her with. It's like you're there to do your bit, not to impress them.
I mean, the main thing
balanced it.
Yeah, the main thing is, like you said, she is like very adept at those roasts, and she's gotten a lot of reps as a stand-up. She knows kind of how to control an atmosphere like that.
Yeah.
And just in comparison to the many times we've gotten like people who just don't have that stage experience, I think she handled the show really well.
She had a rhythm of threes where she would do the setup. She'd go one joke to see if people found it funny, and the real joke was on the third. And I thought that was so clever from her. Yeah, I liked a lot of how she approached it, and she watched the movies. She didn't nerd. She did not nerd out and let it be known, but she did these accidental slip ups. And the one that really got me was when she said Tedesco up 31. Only this table gets it. And I was like, yo, you actually took the time. I appreciate you. She said her monologue. She toured it in private clubs until she got it tight. I was like, you know what? All I can ever ask for is someone who gives a damn. Thank you.
Exactly, right? Like, you know, we're all watching these movies because we care. Don't make fun of them. Like, don't belittle the night. Like, this is a special event for a lot of people for a reason. And I think
you liked her Joker too joke though.
Oh yeah, I did. I also really liked her joke. The hardest working actors in show business are here. Your waiters. That was a solid one. That was a good one. I'm always happy to see my boy the Sandman get a shout out. Chalamet.
Pre-written or not? I think they just went to my man.
But he was mic'd is the only thing. Like
but they have the mic. I thought the same thing, but I think they have the
shotgun
mics
mic
on the things. Yeah.
Either
way, it works, and those are my favorite bits. But I think I love it even more because I think he just hit it for her.
Yeah,
her impression was great too.
It was, and you could like one of those moments where you could tell there's love there. I
loved it.
Really
very good, very
good. Did you like Popular?
I'm only gonna say it to you. I did laugh a little bit, and I laughed because of the bit of her cutting it off immediately.
Yeah, it was good.
Her staging, bro. She knew when to, even beyond that one, she knew when to stand this way to give you the look.
Profile. Yep.
Did you see Glenn Powell's? Go back to his nominee. This man went, oh, well, you sick, bro. I know everyone's sharing Spider-Man. I know everyone's sharing Spider-Man.
No, Powell came prepared.
No business. But Glenn Powell was clean. He always knew how to look up to the camera. Very good.
Yeah. Ariana was another one who was performing a lot for the cutaways.
But that's Ariana.
That's Ariana. Yeah.
That's Ariana. I did like Popular. I thought it was kind of goofy.
Yeah. And I thought the whole leaderboard of the things that get mentioned the most was also a funny bit.
No, that was the best joke of the night. My second is the Ben Affleck bit. Let y'all experience that one. Very good bit. The funniest joke of the night was God created the universe. 0 mentions. Mario Lopez of Access Tonight. 1. Dude, that killed me. I think it's one of the best. I think it's the best joke of the night.
It's also a joke that plays in all 50 states, I think. Too, you know?
So good. But yeah, no, she did a solid job. And for the most part, she didn't overdo anything when it came to a lot of just tossing it to the presenters.
Yeah, so that also gets at the gulf between how funny most of her bits were and how unfunny most of the presentations were. I don't know if there were any presenters that you liked
good or bad?
The most, or
okay, the most. The first person I had told you that I thought was pretty good. Moana and The Rock were one of the first ones. I like the introducing bit of saying her name correctly, not The Rock's.
Yeah, good
stuff. Substance, one of the better ones.
Yeah, a little bit awkwardly performed, but fun.
Awkwardly, but because it's that bit of, do you have writers up there or do you have actors? And Mindy Kaling was an actor writer, so when I was running through the Globes again to cut it up, I thought theirs was okay. Yeah. After everything we saw, I thought theirs was even better. Right? I did not write something for Hudson.
Yeah, Anthony Mackie and Harrison Ford started awkward. I enjoyed it by the end.
I loved Bink Bink Bink, but I hated Ford having to be like, bro, read the damn prompter, bro. Can you just read the prompter? Anthony Mackie and Sophia, whole night just yelling out of their chairs. This is why they don't let us into nice places. Jodie Foster for 1 second after the win was like, I don't know what to do with this left night. Think about it though, right? I get you're gonna lose, but like she lost to Jodie Foster the entire run, and we don't think of herself as like that big either. But like to lose to Jodie the entire run, Golden Globes, as we know, probably the last thing they're seeing each other. She's like, not the one. I thought that was funny, bro. I told you.
So go ahead.
I just don't like Rogan. I did not like Rogan's and Catherine O'Hara's. It was funny for a bit, but it overstayed its welcome to me.
That's the thing.
I thought Goldblum and Michelle Yeoh. My joke is, I'm making a compilation. You had called them Film Twitter. They just gave Letterboxd reviews. So corny, bro.
Yeah, reads your reviews ass bit for sure.
Wow, that goes with the Ariana thing you were saying. It was like, they just knew. I've never seen a Golden Globes that tried really hard for the gifts.
Yeah, and the presenters, there was a lot of that going on. Maybe the highlight though was Hey Dwayne, probably that.
I thought someone got slapped. That's how good I thought that was. Would you take on it a real funny bit, or did they fix it? Because that did not seem fixed.
I think that was not planned for sure. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the tension.
My brother looked at me, and Alina's the one who really broke it down. She goes like, "That's a diss." I was like, they filmed part 2 together," and she goes, "Right, no." So he came out, said, "Hey, Dwayne." Anyway, they called me for the box office movie because they knew who to call.
Right.
That was mean.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I mean, it's the kind of thing that we don't see much of at award shows, but
yeah, but that man was wearing double decker everything. You should be careful. Dwayne's gonna knock him, bro.
You mentioned it.
Hey. Wait, hold on. I got another one. You're not gonna get Chris rocked. He's gonna get the rocked, bro. No, dude.
That's tough. Yeah.
It was a hard line. It was a hard line, though. Hey,
Dwayne. It was. I mean, it's subtle, but it's like just enough.
It was good. It was good on his half. It's a dumb award, but it was good on Vin.
Well, that's another thing that we could talk about is that Vin Diesel did give away the Cinematic and Box Office Achievement Award to Wicked. It was the only award that Wicked won on the night, despite many people thinking he might have been a front runner in some categories. And this award still remains to me a very amorphous, weird, unnecessary thing. It's not the movie that made the most money, and it's also not the movie that surprised with how much money it made. What this award should probably be is a reflection of box office in percentage compared to its budget, right? Like that long legs, and it ends with us movies that aren't, $100 million blockbusters, but became big money makers.
Am I racist? 1 mil?
Honestly, I
at least consistency, right?
Right.
I got a good Am I Racist joke. Did you hear all the Oscars? Movies not eligible for Best Picture, including Woman of the Hour, including a lot of these films that are filled with I'm trying to name. It was like a lot of very obvious ones.
Yeah, diverse films. Diverse films from Andrea Arnold was another one that is eligible for Best Picture.
Yep. Unbelievable stuff. And then it turns out that it was that they didn't really do the paperwork.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Zachary Shevich, tell me why the people from the Daily Wire did the paperwork to fit in.
They just want to be seen. They just want to be acknowledged.
Why are you tap dancing? I thought that was what you were against.
Right?
Holy smokes. And now I want to see all the movies not qualified because they were like, yeah, I'd rather not. The Homie. They were like, how's The Homie not? They just didn't fill it out.
Exactly. Yeah. Like they know they're not getting a Best Picture nomination for their 70-minute
2017 telling y'all these rules were lame. Yeah. Half of these movies should be up, and they're not getting them because they didn't pay a fee.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Daily Wire did. Let's keep it going, bro. That's just so funny to me. It's so funny.
Yeah. Cinematic Box Office Achievement, just to talk about it for a little more.
What about it?
It also is extra lame to me when you get up and you give a speech like you just won Best Picture. Like John Chu put it all out there. That was his Hollywood moment.
Right? It's like he's not going to speak again. This man went up there, gave the speech. He thought he was at the New Hope Folk Festival, and he just performed that Bob Dylan song. Mm-hmm. He has one of my favorite moments of the show. You know when you're spitting and you're going really hard? You forgot where you were for a second. He starts talking about change and loses where he's at. And I'm like, this is the funniest moment. It's so true. It's so real. He got it back.
So excited.
No, he got it back and he landed it well. But there was that moment where he forgot where he was. And I loved it because they just told him, go out there, spit. And he did. He spit. And then at the end, yeah, he thought he had solved cancer or something there. He gave a speech.
It was a lot.
Like he changed the election or something. Oh.
I mean, look, Wicked is an anti-fascist film, don't you know?
Bro, how are you losing Best Comedy or Comedy and Musical? How are you a cinematic achievement and losing Comedy Musical? They're telling it to your face.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into some of the winners. Do you want to start with our favorite wins or our least favorite wins?
No, let's do the good because we're going to vent until next week.
All right. So I think when we're talking about the good wins, to me, the best place to start it off is with that Demi Moore win for Best Actress. A bit of surprise for me, not a complete shock because people are really responding to the substance, and it kind of feels like she's become almost like the vehicle through which people show their appreciation for this movie. Mm-hmm. But she's got the narrative behind her, right? Like she's this major star who has been working for years and years without this kind of recognition. She said she's never won anything as an actress. That technically isn't true. She did win Best Kiss at the MTV Movie Awards, but a little bit different than winning a Golden Globe.
Just a tiny bit. I like when people go, I used to measure myself with a stick, and now I will not be measured by anything except this Golden Globe.
I'll be measured by the one in my award wins column. Yeah, I mean, it's not exactly like Demi Moore has lived a life where she's been oppressed much. I guess like
I'm so glad she's welcome to Hollywood now.
Right. Like it's sure
a little funny.
It like sucks to be told that you're not like dramatic film material, but I don't know, maybe the money and the fame will make up for that. I'm still happy for her.
I'm still happy for her too, and I think that's one of the first categories to look at as, do you see it being shaken up much once we get to the Oscars?
So I think that despite Demi winning this category, um, it's still up in the air. One of the other wins that we haven't gotten to yet, which is another one I was really excited to see, was Fernanda Torres's win for Best Actress in a Drama.
What I tell you,
So
bro, I
yeah,
was
I'm
not
still
expecting
here.
that when I was so happy for her.
Yeah. So like we're talking about a couple performances that are really excellent. Uh, one of the ones that one of the ones that I think is totally worthy as well, Marianne Jean Baptiste, not
Mhm.
acknowledged. So like I think this is still a pretty up in the air category. People are there's still a lot of time, right? The nominations haven't come out yet, let alone the final stretch toward the Oscars.
Yes, but I feel out of the 5 comedic musical and 5 dramas, we are going Honora, Demi Moore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm blanking on the third one over here. I'm missing, it's I don't even think it's challengers.
Wait, are you talking about actress or are you talking about picture?
Actress.
Yeah, so I
Oh, I
think
don't
it's
have
going to
mine.
be. I think it's going to be Mikey Madison for sure. I think it's going to be Demi Moore. I think it's going to be uh what was
Torres, but that's now
yeah,
in drama. And I hope
right.
Maria doesn't take it, but I feel like she will. Okay, I got the list a little bit better over
I
here
yeah.
on but tell me yours if you got it.
I was going to say I kind of feel like Angelina Jolie is fading a bit in actress.
Real okay, so I still yet to see that movie, but I feel
Mhm.
like she may be sticking in there surprisingly, and I kind of want to give it to someone
Possible.
else, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so from the dramas, I had two, and I think my two were not Kate Winslet. You've seen it.
Yeah, I mean she's good. I wouldn't have her in there personally, but
I still got to see The Room Next Door. Batilda's in a lot of my list for other movies.
she's she's great. I don't know if this is the performance that I spotlight from her, but I
Okay.
don't anticipate she'll get the Oscar nomination personally.
So who's going in? Baby Girl,
I think
Angelina
so.
Jolie, or Pam?
I think it's gonna be Nicole Kidman from this
So you're
group.
going Nicole Kidman,
Yeah.
and then Torres from I'm Still Here.
Yeah.
Out of this group, I'm going her. But then, like you said, for the Demi Moore one, Demi Moore,
She gets in almost for sure, I'd say now.
we know not Amy.
No.
We okay. Then it gets big.
Yeah.
So it is the comedy one that it's like these are the ones that are going to get a real clean sweep. Does
Hmm.
Cynthia not make it?
I see her as potentially on the bubble. Wicked
That's a good
felt
one.
like a Wicked felt like a really strong contender for a bit, but I don't know, especially like it only got the box office achievement award from the Globes.
Do you think the Oscars feel differently?
About Wicked, I don't know. I
Yeah,
mean, I could see it go both ways. I could see Wicked getting a bunch of nominations. I could see it getting only a
because
couple.
I'm sure
Uh,
you'll bring it up later. But the
yeah.
idea of like this does not change the Oscars.
No, yeah, I'll
We'll
bring
get
that
more
up.
into it, but yeah, you know that.
Yeah.
Um,
I think Demi and Carla are the two from this category, or I
what?
guess
And
Mikey maybe as
Mikey,
well. Yeah.
and then you're
So
picking Zendaya out of. I think it's
I don't
rough,
think
but we're gonna get.
I don't think Zendaya gets there, unfortunately. Honestly, Fernanda might be the one who's the most on the bubble of the
That'd
ones we are
be
talking
insane.
about.
I would
Yeah.
not piss
Well,
off
because
the
we're talking about
Brazilians
all
like that.
these performances, and Marianne Baptiste is still not among them.
I
And
agree.
we're skipping awards now, but she just picked up the National Board of Reviews award for Best Actress. So now she
That's
won
American.
the so she won the, or was it NBA? I might be mixing it up with another critic organization, but she won now the New York Film Critics Circle, the Los Angeles Film Critics Circle, and a national critics group. The three biggest critics groups all gave her the Best Actress prize. So
It's not bad.
it would be a surprise for her to be overlooked.
Not get it.
It's a tough
Yeah.
category. There's a lot of
It's a
great
very tough
performances.
category, and that's a good thing, in my opinion. Okay. Who do you got next?
I was really thrilled for Sebastian Stan's win in Best Actor, Comedy or Musical. My guy from A
L-
Different Man,
Let
who
me pull
also,
up.
like, I thought had a pretty badass speech. There wasn't a lot of advocacy in speeches this year, but like he shouts out, disabilities and representation.
From the jump.
Yeah, shouts out Aram Shimberg and excuse me, what's the other actor's name? Adam Pearson. Yeah.
Who great retweet from him as well, because they weren't there. Like, I don't know if they didn't get the invite or something, but it's still half-assing that movie in the way that we said since Sundance, that the movie is in and of itself. It knows what movies like this are complicit of. And it's so rare to see a movie like that, right? Like, even The Substance is funny because the girls are glammed up everywhere they go promote the movie. Ain't that ironic? This one, it did everything possible, and sometimes they're not inviting his damn co-star.
Yeah.
For reasons? Fascinating. I love this movie. This is a great movie. Been on a list in Sundance. Zach had to top his thing. And my man, bro, Sebastian Stan is just that guy, bro. He's so freaking cool. Great speech. I agree.
Yeah, and it's just also one of those performances that, you know, sometimes you see a performance and it's so good you think like, oh, nobody's gonna award this one. Like, this is like a
why would they?
Yeah, like
this is the engine that could, no?
Yeah, I mean,
it
keeps picking up prizes. I at this point wouldn't be completely shocked to see it pick up an Oscar nomination or two too.
Best
which
picture.
Is
Best picture winning.
Hey, I'm for it. I'm surprised I'm for it.
A real pain, A different man. Those A's, baby.
Yeah, it's the year of the A's. They're back.
You don't see a surprise coming out from this crew? Hugh Grant, Jesse, any of them?
I don't think so. I think these are all the also rans who are lucky that there is a second actor category at the Globes.
Agreed. Looking at the other actor that had won as well, Adrian Brody. Now having to pit the two together in that sense between there not being a split in genres for the Oscars. There's also Coleman Domingo in there. I don't know about Daniel Craig or The Apprentice's performance. And again, this is where I'm really pushing Timmy, bro. I know Timmy has to be there. I'm putting Fines in there. I'm putting a couple of other people. It's not as tight as the female one, but I'm picking Adrian.
I think my picks for who actually gets nominated are the 5 people we see here in the best actor category drama. I think Stan gets in for A Different Man instead of Apprentice.
Gotcha. I think they got to get Jesse or Hugh Grant in there. One kooky pick. One kooky pick. All right, but no, good on A Different Man. Good on A Different Man.
Any other wins you wanted to shout out?
Looking at some of the other ones here outside of acting, non-English, if we're not talking bad, so we'll wait for that. I will give the shout out to Flo, your favorite animation of the year, picking it up with 3 guys who gave a fantastic speech. And I don't know if you were able to see what the boys did after the fact.
They celebrated in Giamatti style by heading into In-N-Out.
I thought it was the funniest thing. For those who don't remember, Paul Giamatti last year, right? It was barely last year. Won his 2 years. What is time?
Well, I think it is. Wasn't Holdovers last year? I don't know.
Yeah. What is time, bro? I don't. Yeah. He ate an In-N-Out. These guys ate an In-N-Out, and it turns out that they made the entire movie like off of Blender stuff. And I thought his speech was poignant, comparing himself to the cat. That in order to make a project much bigger than his previous solo ones, he had to work with a team and let go of a lot of stuff and just go with the flow. Beautiful, beautiful speech. The other speeches that were given from movies that we liked, just take it away. Best motion picture drama was a good speech, but it was that one he pre-wrote for best director. I watched it again and cried.
Yeah, his best director speech was so thoughtful, and I felt like so humble as well, shouting out so many people who helped along the journey. His shout out to his daughter nearly brought me to tears, and then his acknowledgement of the people he's lost, as well as Aubrey Plaza. That fully got there, Mayor. Yeah.
We were saying earlier she was going to present. I can't remember if she was nominated because of Agatha, but she would have been there. And I don't even know how they've crossed paths backwards with him being a film actor and such. But yeah, that daughter quote especially. You look so beautiful in your dress. It makes this whole commotion of what I got us into worth it. Yo.
Beautiful line.
Sit down, man. Relax. What a guy, bro.
But his second speech too, like
was
which was a bit off the cuff, just sort of like making the case for for directors' visions and directors' cuts. Like, it felt to me a little bit similar to Cord Jefferson's speech when he won the Oscar, urging producers to take risks and
save the
you know,
money.
yeah, that's a message that I think we can totally get behind.
Let me toss Gad in there too, because I had missed his. I started driving home at that point, so I had to re-listen to it. I always want to say Josh Gad. What's his name? Gad from
Richard
the
Gad?
Netflix one. Richard Gad. Thank you. He gave a similar speech in terms of like, hey, you know, people didn't want to help promote this. Netflix gave the money to do so.
Yeah.
So he kind of gave a court speech as well. Although I did not like when he had said save some for the little guy, and we cut to what's the Netflix dude? Ted?
Is it Sarandos?
And he went, yes, excellent. Good
Yeah.
speech for the company. It did make me feel a little weird. I'm not gonna lie, but was there a better speech than Brady Colbert? The answer is no, but I'm
there were a couple other really fun
good ones.
Yeah.
But his was the best, bro. It's
sure,
the only one
sure.
I was texting out. Really good stuff. And you think he's a lock?
I wouldn't. There's almost nobody who I would say is a lock at this point. The only person who I might say is a lock is another person who I thought gave a delightful speech, and that's Kieran Culkin.
Let's go to it.
Yeah, I mean,
supporting, which again is for all the movies.
Yes, they combine comedy and drama for this one for whatever reason.
Yeah. All right. We'll start with the better one. We'll start with Kieran, who, yeah.
I mean, look, he was just doing his Kieran Culkin thing, the sort of freewheeling kind of stream of consciousness line delivery that he is so good at. But
daughter stickers all up on a sleeve.
Yeah, that was a great look.
That's good.
Yeah, he's just kind of a delightful presence, or the impish deviousness of his disposition. But we're always happy to see him, and he's a fantastic actor, and that's a fantastic performance, even if it is maybe a co-lead.
Is this the time to talk about it? Let me tell a joke, and then we will talk about it. Yes, he looked good. Not as good as our boy.
I mean, Jeremy Strong's always pulling up with fits.
I knew when he left because, well, all the green had dissipated from my screen for all the presenters when he was sitting right behind them.
Yeah.
I went, Zach, back through our list of Sundance. I had him as lead.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
I mean, he is like almost all of that movie. Jesse Eisenberg maybe has like a little more screen time than him.
He comes in a little later, right? But then the movie ends on him. And I was conflicted with this because we have another one too that we've been arguing about, The Wicked Girls.
Mm-hmm. And that's the
thing for sure.
I think this is a situation for both The Wicked Girls and The Real Pain Guys, in that sometimes when you're in a movie with a person who is the same sex as you, they just demote the person who has a slightly smaller part or slightly less important part in order to maximize their ability to get nominations. So they're not
Emelia
against each other. And and that is the case for the female supporting category as well.
Let's just get into it, bro. Let's go.
Yeah. So Zoe Saldana was the first win of the night for supporting actress. And, I was actually like pretty happy for her because I have liked Zoe for a while.
Part of the movie.
Yeah. And she's, she was also so overwhelmed and crying and like half screaming her speech. She was just really feeling a lot of feelings. And for somebody who I think has kind of been undervalued for a while and buried beneath, Avatar CGI and Guardians of the Galaxy makeup.
Should be Thanos.
Yeah, like I don't know, man. I don't love this movie, and I don't think she's my favorite supporting actress part of the year.
She's not supporting.
Yeah,
it's too much. It's not fair compared to these other roles over here. I'm still going for quality, but if this is what the Oscars are looking for a big speech, I'm guessing it's going to come out of her, even though she is the entire beginning. You literally do not see the title character, who is just the title character because it's the title. But they don't come out till way later.
Yeah.
And if we're being very technical, that person don't exist, Zachary Shevich. So technically, they don't really appear until years later.
Yeah.
Good for her. Good speech.
Not, I think, what either of us would have hoped for in that category. But
hey, if this is the only Emelia Oscar win, then sure.
Sure. I also think supporting actress is kind of a weak category this year. I'll say that.
A little bit, yeah.
Just before we move on to the bad, I will say one more speech that I found delightful to be Tadanobu Asano's speech.
He also has supporting,
yeah, because he was just so seemingly surprised and appreciative. You know, obviously seemed like he was maybe a bit like unfamiliar with how the Golden Globe ceremony worked, but like
Yeah.
it's just like sometimes people can radiate joy in a way that is infectious, and that was what I got from him.
Yeah, I mean, he was so happy, even though he had to go film in Japan. I think a similar one would be is that we've seen these circuits, and when Penguin won, because it came out so much later, it was never going up against Gad for
Baby Reindeer.
Gad won everything.
Yeah.
This was the first time that I think Gad felt for the first time, wait a minute, I know Get Award. And it went to the Penguin, stole it right from him. Whereas you get this guy, and it's the complete opposite. The entire run, Shogun has won everything else, and he's just been the nominee. This is the first time he snatched one from Eben.
Yeah. Guess the Globes voters didn't like season 3 either.
Clearly not. They did this, and that's another thing too. This is where I meant, like, I felt everyone was copying. Like, everyone had the same thing, giving it to Hacks over Bear, doing all these different things like that.
So here, I think we can also talk about another thing that I found not great about the show, and that was the TV awards in general. Because while I think there were some surprises in the film awards and some really delightful wins from people that we haven't yet seen win a lot of these awards, the TV awards were really boring. Shogun won every category it was nominated for. Hacks won every category it was nominated for. Baby Reindeer won almost every category it was nominated for. It was clean sweeps all around.
I think that's also my point. This is the last award show to do it. We've already seen them be awarded. It's why, again,
your Emmy speech.
It's why Sophia went, really?
Yeah.
You dragged me out for another one. But I agree with you. I think that's why one of the opening jokes was hilarious. We honor movies and hold space for TV. Fire, bro. Yeah. I agree with you. All pretty much the same. I mean, it's gotten to the point my man's not even showing up to pick up the awards. And this time, I have felt it for you, even though you know I'm not gushing over the show all the time. I really felt it for the boys. And by the boys, I mean these two men over here who I would be sick and tired showing up, losing to a dramatic role, and then the man's not even appearing.
Yeah, Martin Short and Steve Martin just like enjoying the free catering, you know, grabbing some of the open bar.
Nah, I'm at the point where they deserve one, bro, and I'm not even putting that on my top 10. They deserve one. Great joke for Martin Short as well. He showed up because there was cameras.
That's one of the things I love too, is because they're always together. You get to see how funny Steve Martin found that joke.
Yes, it's so good. Shout out obviously Hacks, the obvious win, but it's the first time she said I've never been happier to be called a hack, and I'm like, wow, 3 seasons.
You
first time she used that one. Okay. Yeah. We already know. Great speech as well, telling everybody to just do your own, believe in yourself, from Hero and Anna.
And
also,
why,
very quick to the point. Baby Reindeer, obviously,
very
won.
Cute.
Yeah, Hacks as well. Shogun, of course, with the win. You already vented on that one. Let's keep talking about Emelia Perez winning song. The worst fun fact, and then seeing French writers who don't know Spanish receive an award in an American category,
and not and similar to the situation with Emelia Perez, maybe waiting a little bit too late to write stuff because they were just kind of talking for a while,
just like their music. Nothing's worse than the dead space where the song has to play and everyone's like, what is this?
Yeah. Kind of funny because Zoe Saldana was just so hyped she got up on stage with them.
Did you see her on the rewatch? She had the shortcut. I liked her energy. It was a lot. To me, it was a little bit too much, but yeah, she was very energetic with it.
Yeah.
This better not be repeated.
It would be more appreciated if it was for a movie or for some songs that we liked, but I don't know, man.
You know what's hitting me now?
Yeah.
That they performed these at the Oscars.
Yeah.
Oh.
And to sit through 2 Emelia Perez songs at the Oscars is not exactly the thing I'm looking forward to.
Hopefully they get the monkey out there, you know? Better, man.
That'd be dope. Although the Oscars actually deemed that song ineligible, so it won't happen.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know, man. I just, if El Mal is the best we can do for the best song category, I don't know what we're doing here.
It's just like the title. It's bad. Best original score, though, to wash a little bit off of our the bad taste out of our mouths. Fantastic speech. And dude, They just look at each other and they go, "You got it? I got it. Okay, I got it." Boom. Looks back. Your daughter, right? Yeah. Okay. Shout out the daughter.
Mm-hmm.
What do we? Yeah, bro. I want to get at their level. I want that.
Yeah.
We kind of had it. We sometimes I'll look at you. I'll be like, I don't want music. You talking about the end? All right, let's do it.
Yeah.
These guys are a well-oiled machine.
Mm-hmm.
And they deserve song.
Yeah, they are the peak of their craft, right? Like, who is more reliably excellent with film scoring than Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross? I personally wanted to see Daniel Blumberg win this one and see these guys win original song, but look, they absolutely deserve it. I mean, I felt a little bit like Elton John when they won, just shouting, "Yay!" You know, those my guys.
You're saying they're even more than reliable because, and I don't mean this as a diss, but Happy Days, Beautiful Mind. Direct Ron Howard.
Yeah.
We know Ron Howard as a good director, but sometimes we say reliable, not a shade, but that they'll give them what they want. I don't think you've ever heard a score from them where it's like, it's exactly what the movie needed that we didn't know, that went above and beyond something. They're always doing something fresh. In the speech, he even said it. We were waiting for the call. Peel it back, turn it down. And it never came, rightfully so. Please give them song too, man.
Yeah.
I want to see the song.
They deserve it.
Screenplay, I am very surprised because I love Conclave.
Mm-hmm.
I did not expect that. I was going with the whole genre bit, that it was going to be Substance or something else. But we do still have that because of the fact that they don't split original and adapted. Yeah,
that is a good point. Although this might be a good place to acknowledge, since we didn't talk about it as much when Demi Moore won. Honora went the entire night without winning any awards. Some people thought Mikey Madison was a front runner for actress. Sean Baker maybe a front runner for screenplay or director.
Or directing,
yeah. Do you feel strange that Honora got blanked in that way, or is it just the Globes being the Globes?
It could be the Globes being the Globes, but I'm a little confused by it because I felt like they brought that movie in with the intention of honoring something, and this was a curve for me. I'm not mad at this one because I love Conclave.
Yeah, and this was Conclave's one night win on the night, so it got represented.
And worthy because that script is beautiful. The dialogue, the way it's written is fantastic. But I don't know. We're also looking at the Substance also being whittled down to just performance also. So I don't think we're going to see the same thing at the Oscars. I think it'll be a little bit more split. I'm hoping.
Yeah, I mean,
you and I like this when they give at least something to everyone.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Conclave probably is the front runner for adapted screenplay. You're looking at if you look at some of the movies that it won over there, like Brutalist is original, Substance is original, Honora is original. I think Emelia is competing in adapted, but
how?
Maybe,
what did he adapt?
It was based off of the opera he wrote, but maybe I'm misremembering that.
Okay, let me tell you. We just went through our annual What is Adapted discussion. And I know you and I are about to have that one again. We evoked the Barbie rule and everything. That's still original.
Yeah, I guess.
He's cheating then again.
Well, I think this is one where I think it was even in the news that they were like trying to switch the category, and they were, I don't know, man.
Yeah, because of Whiplash, that happened to Whiplash, a movie that is original, but because of the short that they used to get funding for the feature,
right,
they did as well. But yeah, Jesse Eisenberg for Real Pain, I would think, is also original. So we'll see how they end up splitting it up. But I didn't think it was a bad win. Director, as we had mentioned, solid. All the performances, all around.
I think the last thing that we haven't really talked about, because we mentioned that Brutalist won Best Picture Drama. We didn't talk as much about Emelia's double Best Picture win in Best International Feature and Best Picture Musical or Comedy.
Did it win for musical or for being a joke?
Why not both?
She gave a good speech.
That's the thing. I liked that in that moment, Jacques Audiard, lent the stage to Carla Sofia Gascon, because like, if Emelia Perez works at all, it is mostly thanks to like her bravery and vulnerability in the lead role.
Along with our lead / supporting actress,
Zoe Saldana.
Yeah. There was a funny bit. You saw when they went up there and they were like honoring the women of Emelia Perez, a movie all about women, and then the dude yelled at his translator for not being.
Yep.
You gotta love it. Good way to end the speech, but damn, not even waking up, going to bed and just seeing it. Emelia Perez is hated. I didn't realize I gotta start working on a video here because it is deeper than we thought. I think this is it. We'll just end it with some Emelia venting. Shout out the Brutalist. Shout out all the winners. Nickel Boys. Come on, y'all. Y'all got to give him more love. Come on.
That's my big concern right now is
weird,
that
right?
Nickel Boys might not end up in the 10 for the Oscars, but we'll see.
Nickel Boys and Sing are two where I'm surprised. I feel like they're getting
I'm but I would say that like the chances of us getting Sing, Nickel Boys, and A Real Pain in there are pretty low.
With how things have been turning out, yeah. I do want to talk about the Brutalist and how it released because I was hearing some people discuss that, and I thought it was an interesting point about people forgetting where's the movie for me, but that there's studios behind this, you know.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, the Emelia Perez one, just really quick, because I'll have to expound my thoughts later. There's a real big rift that they're doing of it being a French film winning American awards for a movie taking place in Mexico, where many of them may not be Mexican. And you're causing a divide between Mexicans and Mexican Americans. There is always divides between cultures, races, colors, and the specific thing of Selena Gomez being a Mexican American who filmed this movie, Zach, as I found out. Oh, I'm so livid that she wasn't a Mexican American. But after the fact, like we found out that they changed the music and added the music, her Spanish was so bad they had to rewrite a scene to add that she was a Mexican American. If you are not more insulted by that, because so many of you thought you were really smart coming up and pulling that one, you should feel more embarrassed that the movie baited you, knowing that you would be dumb enough to pick that up. They added it in post, Zach.
Oh, geez. I actually didn't hear that one.
That's worse than all of it.
I mean, it's kind of the only thing that makes her character make any sense.
And it was but it doesn't. That's what I said. I was like, that's not an excuse for it because it doesn't really apply. Now I know exactly why it doesn't apply.
Yeah.
They're carrying this man's quote about, I didn't have to go learn anything more about Mexicans. I knew what I did. And I'm like, yo, like, I don't think you mean something better because I really like him as a director. I love A Prophet. I love Paris District 13th. So that's what I'm telling you. I'm like, we don't just say things to go off of the Twitter mode. I think he's a good director who did not take and craft this movie the best way, but he had the Selena thing. Why do you cast Selena and find out in post that she's not good in Spanish? Because you wanted her fans. So now you're going to have to deal with what comes with that, her anti-fans. And they're breaking this down. I don't like the divide it's causing between Mexicans and Mexican Americans because Mexicans feel it's an insult to them, like from Mexico. And they see American movies, American award shows honor it. So they're seeing it like all the Mexican Americans love it, when that's also not the case. That's a crap. I didn't hate it, but that's a crappy rollout for a movie, bro. And I'll end it there.
I mean, yeah, it is really in a lot of ways not just becoming this year's award season villain, but just the movie with the worst discourse around it. Whether it is the discussions of like whether it properly represents Mexico and the divide it's causing with Mexicans, Mexican Americans, whether it's the discussions in the trans community with, I don't know if you saw recently, Carla Sofia Gascon labeling a lot of the trans critics of this film as stupid.
Idiots. Yeah.
not the word.
Yeah. She had said the phrase and it's like, bro, it's what we're always talking about, right? Dissing them is not going to get them to be on your side. And she chose the venting route. And I felt it. I get it. Her phrase was something along the lines of, just because you're LGBTQ doesn't mean you're not dumb. But it's like when you're arguing with a partner and going, I didn't call you stupid. I said the ideas that were coming out of your mouth were stupid. Right? Shooting yourself in the foot. And I didn't think that was smart.
Not winning yourself any favors.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I got to tweet out what I told you. Emelia Perez is this year's Crash.
It certainly is lining up to be. And I was telling... we were talking before the stream starts that, the last couple of years we got some pretty cool Best Picture winners, whether or not you were one of the people that was rooting for Everything Everywhere All at Once. That's a pretty interesting Best Picture winner. A lot of people were satisfied to see Oppenheimer win Best Picture last year. I feel like we're kind of sliding back and we've set ourselves up. We're overdue for a Best Picture that people get upset about.
Through and through, bro.
That might mean Emelia Perez is winning, but I don't think that the thing that people have been suggesting that because Emelia Perez and Brutalist were the two Best Picture winners from the Globes, I don't think that really matters much. I don't think that means they are automatically the front runners. You know, what I was just saying, 2 years ago, Everything Everywhere All at Once won the Best Picture Oscar, but at the Globes, it lost to Banshees of Inisherin. 3 years ago, Coda lost at the Globes to The Power of the Dog. Both those movies won Best Picture. I really think Anora, Conclave, Wicked, even some of the other films, they still have a chance. There's a lot of time left for a surprise. We don't even know the nominees yet. Those of you who are old enough to remember the Argo year, there's no way that Argo was winning Best Picture until they snubbed Ben Affleck in Best Director, and then that momentum just started to build.
Yeah, because again, like we started this, I think it's more an audition. They want to know, can they build up some hype from it? But that's not the last one. I think you and I know that it's the SAG. It's the other ones where the if it was a bit where the Globes are trying to see if they can fit in with the Oscars are also looking like, you're a Globe pick, not an R pick. And we know that. I think when it really came to fruition was Renee Zellweger's win and how her speech was all about, and it sounded a lot like the Substance speech for Demi.
Yeah.
Thank you for welcoming me back to the table.
Right.
Just throw all merit and all integrity out the window. It's another award that the president's giving out, Zach, putting it over people's stuff, and another. I don't know about it. It ruins the awards sometimes, but it's a mixed bag. I think we overall did have some good awards that were given out. It really, all that really matters is the speeches. And I think the final note that I would give was that Brutalist rollout, as some people are noting online. Yes, they were waiting for a big gamble, which was the win. And the moment the win comes in, now people will show up to it. People don't get it costs money to put movie in theaters, so you got to time it right. Someone had mentioned, it was a Twitter post comparing it to A24 with The Zone of Interest. Made much more money then. Yeah, Brutalist now has that win, right? Then the Oscar nomination. And then if it wins again, what a rollout.
Yeah, the Zone of Interest is a movie that probably would have came and gone with almost no money made in theaters had they put it out early like people were hoping for. But A24 slow plays it. It gets a bunch of awards attention, makes over $50 million worldwide for a really strange experimental art film about the Holocaust.
Yeah. Is it always the best option? No, because people are then saying, we can see that the Brutalist is doing this, and this is good. Now, what is Nickel Boys doing, and what is Sing Sing doing? The same play! Two teams play at the Super Bowl, one gets it. They went for the same one, and that's what happens. So, one of the movies is going to be SOL. And, now they're stuck semi-releasing, but we'll see. There are more awards that people can push their stuff with, and I just hope Brutalist rolls out again this past week, or this upcoming
and who
week.
knows? Who knows? Maybe somebody will leak it on Twitter.
As an NFT that you have to sign up for when you're downloading the Odyssey. There we go. Any other Globe stuff?
I think that just about wraps it. But let us know what your thoughts are on the Globes, whose speeches you loved, which winners were good, which winners were bad. We're always interested to hear what the inner cuties think.
And always remember, hey, Dwayne. All right. Well, those were all the movies from last year. Let's talk about some of those movies as they come up and everything else as we get to the new to see. Let me move this up over here because we're technically starting with a couple of movies that are anniversary screenings. Ooh. 2 movies are getting re-releases, one in IMAX, which I'm kind of curious about because I heard different things dealing with it. The first being Seven, 30th anniversary edition coming out to IMAX. But I heard that they're scrapping the original version. And from now on, this update is going to be what Fincher's going to focus on. How do you feel about stuff like that?
I kind of feel like, to a certain extent, movies should be frozen in the time they were released. Like, I get that sometimes restoration can make a picture more clear, more precise, can update it. We've been seeing a lot of weird restorations in recent years. I don't know if you saw the very green editions, or True Lies is one. I was talking about the Wong Kar-wai movies that came out and were all like green tinted.
The Mood for Love one, yeah.
I
don't know, bro. Hey, maybe there was a way to get old versions. This will be coming out on IMAX. That's probably one of the parts that I'm most curious on is how it's going to be broadcast there. But hey, really good movie, as you can see right there. I would highly, highly recommend it.
One of my all-time favorites.
Classic.
Yeah.
Paprika,
15.
another fantastic one. They're doing the anniversary editions for these. Alina and I were watching the doc where
Satoshi Kon.
Aronofsky says, "Oh yeah,
Oh.
no, for sure he was gonna give it to me." Scumbags, bro. We're revisiting all that stuff, and it's so funny. And also kind of sad. But rest in peace, Satoshi Kon. Paprika, always worth watching. But we got our big movies, the first releases. We had an off week. We have some indies that came out, but the biggest one comes out. Den of Thieves 2 Pantera. The first one was a smash hit. Dudes loved it. They obviously had to prep themselves for another one. It's been an entire pandemic, and the boys are getting back together. Yay or nay on this one in theaters? You excited?
You know, I was sort of mixed on the first one. I think I reviewed it for Time Out and said it's like residual heat. Like it really is indebted to that Michael Mann film.
That's
but
not
like
a full insult.
It's not a full insult at all. And I don't know, maybe in the last couple of years, I've kind of grown to miss and appreciate this style of movie. We get less and less of them.
Yeah.
I'm there for it. Where's my Ben O'Shea Jackson Jr. been? I feel like I haven't seen him in a movie in a couple of years almost.
On Twitter, complaining. Get into movies, my G.
Yeah.
They said they're going to roll out a bunch of these. So my only worry for this is that this may be the last good one. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Very possible.
But we'll see. I'm excited. In theaters this week, alongside The Last Showgirl. You got to catch this one at TIFF. They are rolling out some early screenings where you can see Q&As, but this is the new Gia Coppola movie with Pamela Anderson. Been anticipating it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty interesting movie. It's beautifully shot, and there's a lot of great performances in it. You get a really interesting sort of slice of the Las Vegas entertainer life. You know, it's a little bit behind the scenes, lifting the veil of the entertainment industry. It is another one of these movies about like an older entertainer who sacrificed their body for their art in a similar way to like Mickey Rourke in The Wrestler or something like that. And I don't think it's quite as good as that movie, but I still think there's some worthwhile, interesting stuff there. And, you know, it's nice to see Pamela Anderson get this kind of shine.
I've seen some interviews so far when she's being interviewed with like other people, but I wait till the movie's out. I'm excited to hear her talk because like she really is. It feels like a new leaf for her, and she's very invigorated and excited about the movie. So I'm very curious on it. The next one is a short-listed international film. That's a documentary, but it's not short-listed for the documentaries. Even though there's a Palestinian documentary, and this is a Palestinian documentary. Right. Palestine submission for the Oscars is From Ground Zero that played at TIFF. The day they sent me the link, they also unlisted the link. So they are keeping this one tight. Yeah. The idea is that it's multiple filmmakers who have caught stuff on the ground in varying different ways, just their perspectives, and they've combined it for this film. Everyone who has seen it has really liked it. It could be a matter of, you know, it could be the content. We're always on a lookout for it, but this has been getting a lot of push, and there's a chance that this may grab one of the 5 spots. It starts showing for us this week. May actually already be showing in our theaters in Chicago, so keep an eye out for this Oscar shortlist.
Yeah, I think this one's playing in New York this weekend as well. Another one that I haven't had the chance to see yet. It does feel like No Other Land has been getting a little bit more hype this cycle, but this is, you know, obviously it's the film that actually was submitted by Palestine, so it probably interesting in its own right as well.
I'd be curious, Once you see the other one, I think there's a comparison of what I think really works in No Other Land and where it falters a bit. And this one seems to take where that one falters and makes it its entire like personality of it. And that may work out a little bit better. But once you catch both of them, I'm curious in reviewing both of them because they're in different categories. Some TV stuff. Really quickly, The Pitt is coming to Max. There are a lot of doctor shows coming out in January. And this is one of the first ones that's trying to do the little gritty look at it. Looks fine enough. They're calling it a Max original, not HBO, but it seems like they're hitting the stride they want.
Yeah, I think the thing that a lot of people are excited about, specifically with The Pitt, is that this stars Noah Wyle, who, for people old enough to remember, was George Clooney's doctoral counterpart on ER a few decades ago. Yeah, so ER obviously
it's the ER guy. Okay,
was a gigantic sensation in its day. So they're trying to recapture some of that, like a primetime TV hospital drama magic.
Interesting. What stood out to me was the idea of it being 15 episodes, 15 hours, one
Yes.
shift.
Well,
That's
again,
cool. That's cool.
this is a lot of, in a lot of ways, also a flashback to the days of primetime TV when shows like this would last
24.
15, 24 episodes,
Yeah.
you know?
Damn. I guess things just always repeat themselves. Like Watson, which is coming out later. Not this week. We have yet something different. How about Doc? How about if I take you from one hospital to another? This is the one coming out for Fox. It's got a lot of backing to it. This has been promoted like crazy. But the biggest one is that it's Molly Parker, and that's a real actress to me. Usually I wouldn't put a lot of these on the radar, but it sounds like they have an interesting story that is going to rely a lot on the acting. So shout out to this one that is glitching out, but Doc will be coming out to Fox. The next one that we have here really quickly is Goosebumps. I don't know if you caught the first season that got a little bit of love, but the second season got a subtitle, The Vanishing.
Okay.
So they've now made it like a separate entity, but then they recombined it. So it's a season 2, you know, the Emmys, Globes,
Yeah.
anthologies. The big one is that the cast is completely new and you've got some friends in there in the cast, as you can see from the above. So we'll see if this makes the show better. I thought the first season was just okay, but this will be coming out to Disney Plus. Totally Spies, bro. Did you ever get to hit this up?
No, I didn't.
Oh, there's someone out there watching. They are rebooting Totally Spies with a season 7A coming out to HBO Max. For those who need to be in the know, I'm here to let you know they are bringing this bad boy back. Animation completely amped up. If you've never seen the originals, that was a good cartoon. It's very rare. The whole cartoon bit is that they always wear the same clothes, right? Totally Spies always stood out to me because they had a wardrobe. Every episode was completely different. Hey, yo, shout out Nick. Nick knows what's up. One of the classics from back in the day in Cartoon Network, and as that rest in peace, we see that HBO Max is continuing it in some capacity. Last one here. Well, that would have been my last one for the movies of the week. I don't know if there was any other questions before we get into our picks, but I saw some comments that we had in terms of the Globes.
Yeah, shout out to the Inner Cuties. Norms mentioned that they were so happy for horror after Demi's win. It's such a deserved win for her and the horror genre. Something we didn't touch on is that, yeah, horror movies do not traditionally do well in the awards, but you know, the substance is apparently like about stuff that resonates enough with the voting bodies that it's breaking through, and it's a great movie. So it's cool to see horror getting the acceptance on that stage.
Yeah. Another one was people shouting out all the episodes that we've done, especially with Amanda. Shout out Norms. Appreciate you for joining as well. Shout out Nick, who, I mean, we just shouted you out, Nick. So here's another shout out for that as well. And a big thanks to Mark, always hopping on with the streams with us. Moving up to
Mark from Tempe. Yeah, he
level.
Exactly. Another person who bumped up their Patreon patronage. So we really appreciate Mark from Tampa, who's in the live stream watching with us as well.
And this is after giving him a bad recommendation over on Prime.
So it really means something.
Exactly. But
one more from Nick here, who mentioned what bothers them is that they don't show clips of the acting performances during the Globes. Yeah.
What's the point?
Exactly. Why are we going to spend 2 minutes watching performers stumble over pre-written lines when we could actually be getting, you know, glimpses of the movies that
we're honoring?
Hopefully, yeah, people are trying to see.
Yeah. Who knows, bro? Good call, Nick. Shout out all of the Inner Cuties over on the chat. We appreciate y'all for joining us here on this live stream as we wrap it up with our picks for the week.
Let's
surprise. Nosferatu. I am shouting out the Dolby, but I will be giving a visit over for the 35 millimeter. The snow is out. I mean, what better way to watch it? You're just going to bring all that evil home with you. I have a good coffee shop near me called Hex. Honestly, I might just have to go to Hex. Already feels like I'm in a Nosferatu fan base. Then go to Nosferatu. Yeah, give this one a watch. It has been rolling out everywhere, and I believe is fully wide. On top of that, I have Cunk on Life, a series that is now a TV special specifically on like life in 2024. I really don't know how else to describe her. I think you saw more of her stuff before I did. You were aware of her.
I mean, she's kind of like I don't know,
Borat.
like. Sure, I was
right?
gonna say,
that's too far.
I was gonna say like if Carl Sagan was an idiot, like it's these like existential philosophical explorations of life, but from the perspective of somebody who takes things way too literally sometimes.
Yeah, And that's the whole bit. And the show does that, her going to different places. This special, I think, does a really good job of just like questioning a variety of different topics. It auto plays on you for Netflix. If the joke that auto plays for you doesn't get you, keep moving forward. But one that I would scope out and is also on Netflix. I was very surprised for this one. It played at Tribeca, but it wasn't virtual for me. So I was patient. It dropped on Netflix. I really liked it, dude. I'm not even the biggest like dance party music guy,
EDM.
but I always love watching people's creative process. And I
Yeah.
think you get a really thorough look at that in here and the ups and downs of being a creative, how lonely it gets, and the pressures more than anything. It's obviously sad if you know anything about Avicii, but it's also very invigorating, surprising, and you get to see all the components that made him Avicii. So a shout out to that one. It really surprised me. I really liked it. There's one part in particular where you know Avicii songs, "Hey Brother." When he first performed those, he got booed. And he had such a terrible night. And if it ever makes you wonder, for anyone who creates anything out there, from a video to anything, as someone who's been doing this for a long time, like you can get the first 24 hours, a week or whatever, of people just making you feel terrible. If Avicii performs songs that are still making so much money today and people can hum them, imagine the 24 hours he felt when people rejected that, only for it to become what it is. So don't give up on whatever you're focusing on, because that's always tends to be the bit. As long as you like it, that's really what matters the most. I really like the doc, dude. Avicii, I'm Tim, over on Netflix. And just to give an extra one, to sneak this one in here, we just finished our hidden gems, so we did not get to give a shout out to Look Back, a movie that some intercuties are putting on our radar. So I have to say, hey, yo, this 58 minutes, this is a short. I like it, but it was too short. No wonder this is falling through the cracks. How are you going to put this against animations and stuff? But Zach, I think it's good.
I think it did get shortlisted by the Academy, but it's probably not going to get in. I mean, I feel like they don't normally nominate things that are that short in those categories.
I don't know. It's a weird thing that it's in the middle. We had a lot of those this year. The Leo Carax one was also a doc that wasn't fully the hour and the such. But
not me.
I don't know if you know anything about this, but someone pitched to me in one way and it got me.
Shoot.
Sliding doors for animators. And I was like, I sat down and I was like, thank you for that one. That was good. Very good. Check this out. It's on Max. It even had a theatrical run. So one of the last bits that I want to shout out right there. Zach's got you with one of the best documentaries of last year.
Speaking of things that are shortlisted by the Oscars, Black Box Diaries is one of 15 documentaries vying for that heralded Oscar nomination. And if you haven't had the chance to see it yet, you're going to have a much easier time getting it this weekend. It'll be available on Paramount Plus.
That's worse, bro. It might as well have been in the theater.
Do what Nikki Glazer said and just don't forget to cancel your free trial, right?
6 days.
This is a riveting documentary about a woman who was assaulted and then ends up reporting and documenting and trying to seek justice for her own assault. It is such an interesting film in terms of the way that it is discussing like cultural norms and things that sort of aren't discussed because they aren't like meant to, they sort of cast people in a bad light and all the consequences that happen from it. And it's just a really remarkable film from Shiori Ito, who, you know, is doing everything here from being the subject to being the filmmaker. But yeah, it's just a really interesting story out of Japan. And if I have my say, it'll be one of the movies that gets nominated on Oscars morning.
And if it doesn't, we still get our say, because this is an Intercutie Award selection, certified for sure. It's her perseverance in it, and knowing what being the subject of a movie like this is, and how she inverts that for how she's supposed to come off.
Right.
Unbelievable stuff. Great pick.
Yeah. Excellent documentary. I want to talk a little bit about the new film from director Justin Kurzel. This is called The Order. I saw it back in the Toronto International Film Festival a couple months ago. I think it's a really interesting movie based on a true story. This is a, cops and criminals story about Jude Law's FBI agent who is trying to uncover a domestic terrorist plot by a white supremacist group that's led by Nick Holt, our boy. And I think it's just got like a good old-fashioned kind of action thriller feel to it. Jude Law here is really kind of doing like almost Gene Hackman in The French Connection or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just like a grit to it. There's a style to it. There's a resonance to it as well, because while it is a story that takes place in the early 80s, a lot of it feels relevant to today. I like this one quite a bit.
I didn't get to catch it in theaters where I wanted to, but I caught it at home now that it's out on VOD. These movies flip quick, man. Good thing and a bad thing. Good thing and a bad thing.
Yeah.
So it is available. But, bro, this was like Black Klansman. No jokes. That humor that Spike brings into that movie, imagine that, no jokes. It's got that tension
Super
of a hell or high water.
Yes. That's a great comparison.
I'd check it out. Both performances are very, very good. And I can't say anything else. You just got to experience the thrill right in it. And it's a true story, which is really messed up.
Very nuts.
Yeah, The Order. Good pick.
Yeah. I think my biggest pick for the week, though, is a movie that is finally starting to expand a little bit, and it has my favorite performance from an actor this year. It is Hard Truths. I told you got one more. That's one more than one more.
This is my final day.
It's not.
It is the best.
It is Mike Lee's film Hard Truth, starring Marion Jean-Baptiste, and it is just a really phenomenal portrait of the things that go into a toxic personality. I think there's it's nothing short of like a magic trick what Mike Lee does in terms of shifting the tone of this movie halfway through, because at first it is this like kind of grating comedy about the world's most miserable woman, and it has all these like incredibly creative complaints, like just the laundry list of things she finds to complain about is remarkable. And then like almost on the drop of a dime, it turns into this really heartbreaking empathetic tragedy about just like the things that people carry with them, and how anger turned inward can manifest itself. And I think the acting does so much to sell you on these as just really real people. But this is a incredibly made film from Mike Lee, who just has a real understanding of how to portray people in a three-dimensional way. I think this is just like one of the underrated, underseen movies of the year, mostly because people haven't had the chance to see it yet. I'm hoping that it does gain a bit of momentum, because I was pretty profoundly affected by it.
I agree. Really good performance. I believe you may be getting it a little bit wider, but Chicago should also get it. Everybody else, keep an eye out for it, because this is a performance you should catch before you make any list like that. Hard Truths. Hopefully the Oscars keep that in mind. Very good performance, bro.
Yeah.
Running it back, we've got Nosferatu this week. For those of you who have it in 35 millimeter or whatever your brightest screen is, you got to check that bad boy out. Over on Netflix, if you want something funny, there are a lot of stuff that are coming out, roasting 2024 or breaking down, recapping, whatever. How about Life? Cunk gives you 60 minutes on life, going through some of the biggest experts out there and telling them asking the dumbest questions to get some of the most profound answers.
Yeah.
Or at least a laugh. Avicii out on Netflix. He's got a documentary called I'm Tim that I think really gets into his creative process and the people who really were able to bring him up, what he was for EDM music at that time. And it's kind of a staple to what happens to a lot of really big creatives as they get really close to the sun, to be honest with you. You remember that Mike Posner song where he had said, I took a pill in Ibiza just to show Avicii I was cool?
Yeah.
I sometimes think about that line, and especially after watching this documentary, bro.
Yeah.
But yeah, catch this one. I think it's really good. They also accompanied it with a live the recording of the last performance that he did. So both of those are up on Netflix. And Look Back, my extra little pick for the week over on Max. Shout out to the Intercuties who put it on our radar.
Nice. My picks for the week are an incredibly powerful documentary coming to Paramount Plus. It's called Black Box Diaries, and hopefully it's going to get nominated for an Oscar. I have a intense, self-serious action thriller set in the 80s called The Order. Can do a lot worse than seeing this exhilarating film. And then I have one of the most well-articulated forms of empathy I've seen all year in terms of Mike Lee's Hard Truths, remarkable film with some remarkable acting in it.
All great movies as we begin this 2025 movie season.
Damn, man. We're a quarter way into the century. Can you believe that?
Oh, damn, bro. Yeah, we're a quarter in. Damn, 25.
Yeah. At
Hey,
some point this year, we're probably going to have to do our top 25 movies of the first 25 years of this century, right?
I was starting to compile best of the decade so far, and you're like, no, rookie, and the other 20 years with it, sure. To a degree, I think by the end of the year that may be something. Yeah, the best of the quarter century. That's a title.
Mm-hmm.
Agree. But even bigger than that, honestly, is something a little bit more important on the horizon. Zach, what you got?
Ooh.
Zach, I'm not playing with you. What you got? Right now,
well,
1 through, go.
Are you asking me my Super Bowl picks or just
I'm asking
are we
you
going
right-
matchup by matchup? What are we doing, man? I know the Bears aren't winning because they're not in it.
We won. Okay, we won the last game.
You got it. We won.
Oh, wait till the next game. We're on a roll. Hey, we did the best thing possible, and that was ruin the ego, the thrive that Green Bay had, because now they're stuck with a terrible seeding, which is the Eagles, and they're going to lose. We messed them up. We beat them in their own hometown since 2018.
Sometimes a moral victory is the victory you
That's
gotta
what you
take.
need.
Yep.
Who you got?
Ah, man. I feel like I'm gonna go with Detroit and Buffalo.
That's a
Kind of chalky, but solid team, solid quarterbacks.
I think it's still Detroit too. But I look, we got beat by him. Washington Commanders got one of the best rookies out there.
Mhm.
It may be his rookie year for sure. And while I do like the Bills, Josh Allen ain't MVP this year. He got what he needed. We're going with the Ravens, baby. Lamar
All right.
Jackson all the way. I want to see Lamar
right.
Jackson go. Hey, it's gonna be a fun playoff season
Mhm.
this next week. I should have put that. I'm putting it now. I
Picks
guess.
for the weeks?
Yo, there's like 3 back-to-back elimination games next week. It's going to be so much fun. But as for this week's show, that is all when it comes to movie. I'm your co-host, Arturo Zurita. You can catch me at LME Movies on all social media. You can catch more from Zach over at
Zshevich across social media or at Multiplex Show wherever you find videos.
You can find us on Intercut Pod pretty much everywhere. And a reminder that you can listen to every episode of the podcast on iTunes, Anchor, Spotify, all that good stuff, or every week here on the Weekend Must Watch on YouTube. We've also got video on Spotify and all that good stuff like they've been rolling out. A big shout out to all the inner cuties who especially listen live because we get those interactions. We still appreciate it after. Let us know down below your glow picks. What did we miss? What's a fun fact? What's something else that you would put on? Why are you wrong about an MVP not going to Lamar Jackson? Just different things down below in the comment section. Big shout out to all of those who leave us the 5-star review on iTunes. It really helps us. Zach said that if we get,
55-star reviews
and 55-star reviews, he will pirate the movies for you. You ain't even gotta you ain't even gotta get a mess of yourself.
No,
don't forget to leave us a comment.
You can just get access to my Dropbox. I got all of them there.
Hey, bro, can you imagine that? Can you imagine how great, if we weren't going to jail for that, how great it would be to have inner cutie live streams like that? And maybe in the future. You know, I always go on tangents, but hey, Speed, did you see? I Show Speed, you know him.
Oh, yes. I thought you were talking about Speed with Keanu Reeves.
No. I thought you were going to go straight to the drug. I'm like, no. I Show Speed.
Movie podcast.
I Show Speed. You saw he got the full rights to be able to stream all of the episodes of One Piece.
I mean, look, that's
good
pretty
marketing. Massive.
Good marketing.
Yes, but that is a really big deal. In my eyes, I think that's a massive thing because that showcases that people are down to understand this back and forth that is influencers, YouTubers, critics,
Modern
however
media.
you see it. It's a brand, online media in general. So we appreciate y'all for giving your online media time to us, especially as we charted in some places in the new year. Oh, thank you, Nicholas.
Yeah, we've been charting all over the spot thanks to people like Nicholas Gray who are leaving us 5-star reviews. Shout out to you and shout out to all of you listening to us around the world, whether that's Austria, Denmark, Hong Kong, Australia, the Czech Republic, Czechia, as I like to call it, Turkey, Spain, Norway, Canada, UK, Italy, Thailand, South Africa, Portugal, Slovakia, Poland, the Netherlands, or the United States of America, where we charted on the Film Review podcast, or the UAE, Ecuador, Singapore, and Estonia, where we charted on the TV and Film podcast.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that one up because I was going to say it, but I knew you wouldn't forget.
Yeah,
It's just everywhere, bro. We appreciate all the Intercuties
this is a
from all
global
over the place.
brand.
Honestly, bro. Yeah. People forget that we are a golden global brand out here.
What was the Jesus and Mero thing? The brand is strong. Now that they broke up, can we steal that?
No, because I don't want to end up like they did, bro. The brand was not strong. Oh, thank you all. Don't forget to leave us a comment, drop a like, follow all the socials, check out all of the best of videos that we've had for the past month, including the ones already shouting out the Sundance things that are going to be the best for next year. All that good stuff down below. And until next time, don't forget to keep watching movies. What did he say? We'll consume you. I'm trying to remember what's your Nosferatu line.
Come to me.
We shall take you.
I am the proprietor.